Hey, everybody. Welcome to Comic Book Curation. I am Polly, and joining me for the second time this week is Quiz. Quiz, how you doing?
Doing okay.
Oh, nice. Good. Glad to hear it. And rounding out our triumphant of awesome for the second time this week is Jack from Bad Comic Reviews. Jack, how the hell are you?
I'm okay. How you doing?
Oh, I could complain, but who'd listen? So we had some tech problems yesterday, and I let the stream run a little bit before we went live here just to see if we were having the bitrate yo-yo problem that we were yesterday, and we don't appear to be. I did uninstall and reinstall OBS. Hopefully that solves the problem. It seems to have addressed it. I also restarted my router, so I have no idea what the actual effect was. Not exactly a scientific approach, but, whatever. Do all the things, see what works. Am I right? I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
So who's all here? Let's see. Vol Potato's here. Hey, Vol Potato. And Frosted Glass, who's mistakenly claiming that ST3K is better than Rift Tracks. He's wrong. He knows it. It's fine. Rotten Corpse and Kyler and Six, of course. Hey, Six and Shady Grin and Angela and Unholy Reaper's here. Hey, Reaper.
Since he's not here to defend himself, I'm going to have to defend him. I've not watched a whole lot of Rift Tracks, and I know it's this pretty much the same people, but
yeah,
you're wrong.
More or less. Yeah.
You're wrong because the MST3K has pod people, which is hands down the best thing ever.
Yeah, but Rift Tracks has the entire Twilight series, which is absolute genius with the mockery that they lay at it. And the Star Wars saga, oh my god, is so good. Jordan 250's here. And Gamer Valine, hey, Gamer Valine, and Johnny Hellcat, but I think Johnny Hellcat already went to bed, and Mike Parlett, some fool named Inquisitor. Scrolling up, old guy gamer, everybody, hey, how's it going, everyone? All right. Oh, Manic's here. Hey, Manic. And Pete. What's up, Pete?
Hey, Pete.
So, fuck, here we are again, huh? 20
so soon?
Yeah, 24 hours later. Oh, man, this new YouTube system. It's so bad. Guys, I've heard people, big streamers that rely on this stuff for their income, which is always a bad idea, complain about every time YouTube makes a change. It's something that it makes it worse, not better. Oh man, this YouTube studio definitely made things worse. If the old system was convoluted, this system is, let's take all of our convolution, put it in a slick new package, but remove some useful settings. Oh, and then yesterday, because you have to create every stream anew. I thought yesterday you couldn't create in advance privated streams that you would then be able to go and access later on when you're ready to go. I had to create it from new, so I was using a Word file that had the cut and pasted information from months and months back, which didn't contain Jack or Quiz's Streamlabs, and it still doesn't, because I worked off that same cut and paste menu. So very thankful for Evolved Potato putting everybody's links in. You have to go back and add all those in afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks, Evolved. We appreciate it.
So, where would you guys like to start? Well, should we start with the sad state of comics, which is pretty goddamn sad? Start with privileged LA entertainment people spouting out and out racism as if it doesn't matter, because as if any of the entertainment journalists are going to call them on it. Should we talk about Mass Effect Astrology? Because that's a thing.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, Mass Effect like horoscopes?
Yeah.
For Mass Effect?
It's sort of.
I'm going to go ahead and reiterate my statement of what?
Say what? Okay.
For the game?
The game? Yeah, the game, man. Okay, well, I think we should probably start there. What do you think?
That seems like a good place to start based on Quiz's reaction.
See, that's the thing, Polly, is like, okay, I think you're doing these things specifically to get my goat. Like the last stream we had where we were talking about Last of Us, right? Of the three of us, I think I'm the only one that's played that video game.
I've watched it played. Does that count?
No. So that game is like one that you kind of need to experience.
Mm.
And now you're doing this with Mass Effect. And the only Mass Effect game I haven't played was Andromeda, because that's not a Mass Effect game. That's Please Be Patient, I Have Autism.
Okay, let me see if I can do this right. Ryan Rawlings says, "What debauchery is this? Purge the unclean otterkin in the name of the God Emperor." Well, I'm no more an otter than the people that wear the fleur-de-lis in throughout 40K, throughout the Imperium, are fleur-de-lis themselves, or fleur-de-lis Ken. It's just a coat of arms, guys. That's it. But with that said, if I had to pick a chaos god, I realize that it's not the God Emperor, but as much as I understand what is it? The Immaterium?
Yeah, the warp, yeah.
Yeah, the warp. As much as I understand it, he pretty much counts as a chaos god, like sort of, because it's not like there's people in the Imperium of Man that are going, yay, Slanesh.
Well, there are, but they're horrible, horrible, deviant cultists who are practicing their worship of Slanesh in secret.
Right. And they deserve to be purged, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's not like looking at the Warhammer 40K universe, it's like, no, I would be down with the Imperium of Man. Like it's so like, yay, Emperor.
Yeah, but now you made me picture an otter holding a shield, which on the shield, instead of lions, it's got otters in the same position.
Okay, and that's not an awesome mental image? What's the problem with that?
It's gonna haunt me.
I don't understand how people get behind Slanesh. It's like, yeah, I love the god of sex, drugs, rock and roll. Like, what? Why? It's horrifying. I don't understand. No.
Well, see, the problem with Slanesh, and here's the unspoken bit about Slanesh, is that Slanesh is also the god of like torture and slow, painful death. So it's not just the fact that it's about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's also the sort of thing is like, you do know that after you've outlived your usefulness, you're pretty much going to go through lifetimes of torment and suffering before your eventual death and devourment by Slanesh. It's not a good idea to be a Slaneshi devotee.
Yeah, this only underscores, supplies more evidence to what I suspected, that being down for Slanesh is a very bad idea.
I hate to do it, but I need to know more about this astrology.
Well, I've got it up, but you blame Ryan Rawlings. It's his fault. Okay. Boom. Is it going to flash for you guys? No, it's not. Good.
It's very easy for me to fall down a 40K rabbit hole, Jack. You should know.
I know. That's why I'm getting this back on track now.
So over at CBR.com, they asked the critical question: which Mass Effect character are you, based on your astrology sign?
Oh, no.
Mass Effect has a unique cast of characters. Here is who you'd be in the game, based on your zodiac sign.
Fuck right the fuck off.
I saw this article. I remember I was complaining, like, CBR's writing about shit that ain't got shit to do with shit, because there's no new comics coming out. And how do you talk about the first trans lesbian POC character in some new comic book that happened? Whether it's like, mainline comics or some little boutique comic book that came out, because that's all they talk about in CBR for years now. But they're out of stuff to talk about like that. So they're like, remember last week we were covering everything you ever wanted to know about Black Widow's body, that, and then and they did Juggernaut and fucking Captain America and Iron Man and so forth. This was the best example of it, though. They're combining astrology with Mass Effect because they got nothing to talk about. Fuck me, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's read into this article. Some of the most popular science fiction gaming franchises include famed titles like Hollow, XCOM. I know it's Halo. I'm just seeing if you.
Okay.
StarCraft, and in 2007, BioWare's Mass Effect made a splashy entrance into. Get to the point. For real and fictional people alike, the 12 astrology signs are a popular way to measure an individual's. Jesus. Just look at this face. Look at this face. This is great. doesn't look insane at all. If you're a Taurus, April 20th to May 20th, you'd be Steve Cortez. The second sign is very different than the bold and competitive Aries. Taurus, by contrast, is defined by two things: a love of all things relaxing and sensual, and a sheer stubborn spirit that doesn't let go of things easily. Steve Cortez, the shuttle pilot. Like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not reading through all these. There's no way. I never intended to. It's just like, fuck, really, CBR? This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like, if I looked up what the astrology signs are meant to represent in terms of people and personality types, right? I'm sure I could force fit them onto different Star Trek characters. And I'm sure I could write up an article about it. But I wouldn't. Because this little thing called integrity gets in my way.
No, it's next week's CBR exclusive. What are you talking about?
Based on your chakra value and what fucking lunar moonstone spirit gem you like the most.
Dude, don't ruin their whole month of articles.
Here's what My Little Pony character you'd be. Like, what the fuck?
You know, I would not at all be surprised if there was this exact article with My Little Pony characters. I wouldn't be
either.
shocked.
Who is Pisces? I must know. All right, Pete, let's find out who Pisces is just for you. There's Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius. God, there, Pisces. You'd be
Liara.
Blue Lady. So, yeah. There. Lara, you know, nothing makes things sound alien as much as an apostrophe in the middle of a name.
That's true. That's true.
That hasn't gotten boring or overused in science fiction at all.
It's a well-known fact that is how things must be now. Just like strong, independent women that don't need no man.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, that was that. Because I couldn't do it, man. I half the time it's just a screw with quiz. Oh, look, more evidence that I didn't turn off the noir bar pop-ups, but that's okay because Jessica Alba's naked, half naked on a bed. Thank you, X Bubba Hotep. So I got to work, and the pump for the well has no power. Mind you, I work at a hotel, so water is kind of important. How was everyone else's day going? Well, I don't know. What were the guests in your hotel saying? It sounds like I'm having a better day than they are.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is there a body in it, like that one poor girl that drowned in the tank on the roof, Elisa Lamb? Because that could be a problem.
Who?
Elisa Lamb. You never heard this case? Girl went missing, and like 3 days later, they found her in the sealed tank on the roof of the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
That she apparently couldn't get in any known way. So
Murder.
Well, they don't know. And nobody bothered to look into it. They said it was suicide, but it looks pretty fucking suspicious to me. Because you need a key to get on the roof, because there's a door alarm.
Mm-hmm.
So an alarm would have gone off, but when the janitor went up to check out, the alarm was armed. So how did she get up there without getting through the door? So it's a big mystery.
She fell from a plane.
No, because she was at the hotel. There's video of her on the elevator looking around like she's trying to evade someone.
Fell from a plane.
Into a sealed cistern? I don't know how that happens.
What's a cistern?
That's a big tank that holds water.
Water collection. Yeah.
I got nothing.
Mystery.
See, somebody explained that deal with that girl to me, and it's like, you should look into that. And I said, really, what's going on? And they explained it, and I was like, well, that sums it up for me. I don't think I really need to look into it.
Sounds terrifying. I'm not getting involved.
The Illuminati are drowning people in cisterns.
I don't know what the Illuminati does, and what they do is none of my business. I'm not sad.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you just connect Hillary Clinton to the Illuminati?
No, I didn't. I have no evidence of any of that. I'm not sad. What part of that did you miss?
You know, speaking of the Illuminati, Jack, I had an idea the other day.
Uh-oh.
You've read, I believe, the Illuminatus trilogy?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Cool. So did I.
I have it on my Audible at your recommendation, but I have not listened to it yet.
Oh God, really?
Yeah.
Did I
Don't know
actually
what to
recommend
listen
it though, or did I just say?
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, sorry about that.
Why? This is not a good
No,
audio.
it's just a rabbit hole fall. I was going to say dive. No, you're tumbling and falling whilst reading it. Like Jack, remember? Like it's just
Oh yeah,
it's extreme nut bar stuff, man. I want a graphic novel of it though.
I don't know how well that would work.
I don't think it would work at all. I would just love to see the cacophony of images that would result. Remember when he was
Yeah,
fucking
that's
the giant apple with the woman spread legs on the other side in the middle of that occult ritual?
Well, you know.
Because that happened.
And you're telling me that you didn't want to recommend this to me.
Oh, I'd recommend it to you because it'll send your mind in some weird directions.
Yeah, what? I just don't want you coming back going, what the hell, man? Like,
Fuck Polly.
Kind of weird 80s shit is this? That's what you're gonna say.
No, I like weird 80s shit.
You'll love it then.
yeah. It's interesting. It's what if every conspiracy theory was true wound up into a book? Now let's create a narrative of it. A guy falling into the whole realm of secret societies fighting each other and stuff. It's just, yeah. It's pretty strange. Tell you what. Somebody's in charge. I'll be right back. Knocking noise up.
Okay.
All right.
Bring a gun.
Is it a rapping at your...
I am bringing a gun, I'll have you know. Okay, I'll be right back.
So tell me more about this book, because like I said, I have it.
No, you can't explain that book. You have to read it. It's an experience. It doesn't make enough sense that it would be an interesting read if I tried to explain it to you.
Okay. It makes sense. So yeah, I'll take the word for it and actually listen to it. I'll say I've got other Warhammer books that I'm listening to right now first, but it'll probably be next on my listen.
Yeah, I would definitely say if you get a chance to give it a try.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I remember a conversation Polydub and I had a long time ago where he recommended it, and that's why I put it on my list for things to download on Audible. So, thank you, Evolved Potato. You said check the money hole. Evolved Potato, best Chaos Gods in order are Malice, the Four-Armed Emperor, Emperor / Omnissiah, Nurgle, Tzeentch, Khorne, Gork and Mork, and whatever Eldar gods, then Slaanesh. Okay. I don't... I say they're not all chaos gods. They're not all gods of the warp or the immaterium, but you can make the case that they kind of are, because when creatures in the Warhammer universe worship something, they make it real, and that's the way kind of the primordial essence of the chaos gods became a thing. I mean, Slaanesh was birthed well after the three other chaos gods, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that Gork and Mork and all the Eldar gods are gods in the same sense as the chaos gods. Also, I take high offense at the Four-Armed Emperor. No, bad Evolved Potato, bad. Four-Armed Emperor, by the way, for those not in the know, is the perverted worship of the Emperor by gene stealer cults.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Did you... 40K again.
Yes, I did.
Oh, did you? It was what I suspected it was.
Oh, it was a burglar, and you blasted them back to where they came from, and then...
Yeah. I got lime and a shovel. I'll take care of it later. No, I thought it was the ice maker in my fridge. This place when I moved in has one of those ice makers in the door of the fridge.
Oh, yeah.
And the ice, for some reason, is getting caught in the little claws that push it out, like the new batch of ice.
Oh, dude. At like 4 a.m., that is the most fucked up sound you'll ever hear.
Yeah, and like I knew what it was. It's like, is that the ice machine? It's going... because it keeps trying to push it out, right? And it's
Yeah.
stuck. So yeah, I'm going to go fix that before it burns the motor out, because I like my ice maker, man. All right.
Does it make it crushed? Because that
Oh.
crushed ice is the best ice.
Oh man, it's the best thing. And Jack and Monkey mocked me once. I remember that clearly.
Crushed ice is awesome.
I said, no, not for the crushed ice. Well, yeah, for chewing the crushed ice on stream, but that's a different.
Yeah, it's the chewing part. It's fucking gross.
No, it came down to the door. You did. I remember it. We were. I'm sure Chad is so interested in this, but whatever. We were. I was chewing crushed ice, and I said, "Oh man, I love me some crushed ice." Blah 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 with different drinks, right? I said, when I moved into this place, I had never had one of these ice machine makers in the door with the automatic ice crusher. Now, fuck. I like that's gonna be something I'm gonna be looking forward to. If I move out of this place, I'm gonna miss if the next one doesn't have it. And Jack pipes up with his Jackisms and says, "Oh yeah, so I moved into this place and like there's rats everywhere, full of squalor, rotten floorboards. But hey, there's an ice maker in the fridge."
That sounds like something I'd say. I don't remember this conversation, but I have no doubt that is spot on what I said.
I mean,
oh, sure, there's some blood stains, but the crushed ice is delightful.
it's like, no, I wouldn't move into, fucking South Detroit, if you know what I mean, just to get a crushed ice machine. But I mean, Angela says it, right? She's like, crushed ice is best ice. Because what are you gonna do otherwise? And I've had some smart asses say, "What do you mean? You put ice in a cloth and hit it with a hammer." You're gonna do that every time, and that leads to really evenly crushed ice. Like, yeah, okay, you can do it, but like, what is this? The 1910s, where I'm hacking away at a fucking cake of ice with an ice pick? Like, Jesus.
Savage.
I was gonna say, like, no, putting it and like hitting it. It sounds like the caveman solution. You're like hitting it with a rock.
Hitting things with a hammer is a known, tried and true method of not only repair but of fixing problems.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
And
taking
as
care
we're
of-
gradually losing our audience, talking about things that got nothing to do with nothing.
We've built a show around that.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so what's next, Polly?
We are going to talk about this. I haven't read this story fully, but I saw a bunch of people jump up on top of it, and it seemed like classic material for the drama shilsters to talk about. So we're going to talk about it, not because we're drama shilsters, but because we.
Yes.
There it is. From Bounding into Comics. Thor actor Tessa Thompson doesn't want to work with, quote, a bunch of white people and, quote, a bunch of men.
Dun, dun, dun.
Now, it's like, I'd really love to read this full article and find out where this comes from and what she said. I'm not saying she didn't say that. I absolutely believe that she did, because, like, what entertainment journalist is going to say, yo, really? Isn't your mother white?
Yeah.
She probably hates that bitch, too.
Yeah. Oh, she oppressed me my whole life. It's like,
I'll say this for this article: you don't need to read like the last half of it, because they just break down all of the movies that she has been in since she has, or movies and TV shows that she's been in since saying that, and how they're all directed and written by white, mostly men, and starring a whole bunch of white men, or white people and men. It's really the whole latter half of the article.
I mean, and just to break it down, like, it's Tessa Thompson, who was on my list, top 10 list of sexiest women in the MCU, which, and I'm not going to go change it because she's still a very attractive woman, but you hear her say things like this and it's like, you plummet. But is anybody surprised that a sheltered Hollywood girl, like, she was raised in a very, very artistic, privileged background? Is she black? Well, kind of. Only when you enter into weird identity politics could she be considered black. Her father's Afro-Panamanian. So it's like, of African descent a long time ago, but Panamanian. Her mother's white, with white Chicana background in her somewhere. So it's like, Tessa, you're very multicultural and not like the descendant of slaves in any stretch of the imagination. But, nothing will stop me from talking shit. So I haven't even read this yet. So let's find out what's going on before I go too much further. Thor Ragnarok actor Tessa Thompson stated she didn't want to work with a bunch of white people and a bunch of men. YouTuber Mecha Random brought Thompson's comments to our attention in her recent video. Let's see what she says. Like, I don't want to show up on set and just see a bunch of white people. No offense. And it's also really exciting.
No offense.
I don't want to show up on set and just see a bunch of white people. And
Yeah,
so it's also really exciting,
Whitey's.
not just what we put on screen, but also the producers that are inclusive. I don't want to show up on set and just see a bunch of white people. There's lots of places you could go where you'd see no white people whatsoever, and they are dramatically uninclusive. I'm sure they'd be happy to have you in Bollywood. Oh, right, they totally wouldn't, because everybody in every Bollywood film, and Bollywood's massive, guys. Fucking massive. It's all just Indians and Pakistanis and Iranian, Persian actors and actresses. They're very particular. Hong Kong cinema, which is huge. It's all Asians. Are you screaming at them for not being inclusive enough? Well, this is America! Yeah, where your racist garbage shouldn't fly. It's like, no offense. Well, I don't take offense from that, but I certainly think that you intended it because you think you can get away with talking that way. Imagine your mother heard you talking like that. Where'd you go to school? Well, surrounded by white people. You want to give that up? No. Like, privileged bitch, rich millionaire. I mean, as reported by the Press Association, courtesy of the Daily Mail, Thompson stated, I want to see work that really looks like the world in which we live. The world in which you live is mostly white people. So there are lots of people of color. Look around.
What if you live in like nowhere, Nebraska? Not a lot of people of color there.
I was gonna say, yeah, Propinquity would say that most people are not going to encounter very many people of color there, Tessa.
Yeah, probably because they're the definition of minority. That means there's not a lot of them. Hence the word.
I love that she says it twice. Like, I don't want to show up on set and just see a bunch of white people. No offense. And I don't want to work in the company of a bunch of men. No offense. So clearly you were talking to a white man who didn't have the balls to say, you keep you keep repeating that. Let's I want to see a bunch of people that are representative of the world. Well, listen, Tessie with the good hair. You are hardly representative of black women. Like, you realize that, right? Tessie with the good hair.
Majority of people in the world would be Chinese.
Yeah.
Or maybe Indian second place.
And Bollywood and Hong Kong. And it's like you're in a country that's majority white people. But it's not all white people. Which like, if you watch certain shows, they're not represented. I mean, would you be happy if every set and every cast had... I mean, where are you going with this? I want to be representative of the world. Actually representative? Like, intellectually challenge people when they say shit like this. So black people, according to the last census, represent like 12.9% of the population. Would you be happy with that? 12.9% representation? I don't think you would. 1 out of every 10 actors, maybe 2 at the most, because 2 would be overrepresentation. Would you be happy with 1 out of 10 actors being black? I don't think you would. And it wouldn't be you, because you don't represent what the majority of black people look like in the United States. You're far too light-skinned and your hair's far too straight.
Well, and she's not technically fully black, so she would be in a different classification.
Yeah.
People that are...
You don't want to push this, lady.
Race. Oh, they do, because they think it's going to help their career. And she's just stupid and foolish enough not to think of the long-term ramifications if they actually adopted this sort of thing.
Well, it's the very definition of champagne politics, drive-through politics, right?
Yeah.
Or drive-by politics. It's the fact that she's sitting there, spouting this bullshit without actually critically thinking about literally anything. Like any actual Hollywood elite will do. They'll say these things because they want to seem like they're virtuous.
Yeah.
That is the only reason why. Because they're sitting there in their fucking mansions while other people are starving and they're feeling guilty. That this does not absolve you of your sins.
Yeah.
Go say 12 Hail Marys and fucking donate to a soup kitchen, cunt.
I love this line. I want to show up on set and have it look like the world I walk around in every day, which is full of women, people of color, and folks with disabilities. I want to make content that feels like that, both on camera and off it. Tessie with the good hair. The world you live in is not the world that most people experience. You're a pretty privileged girl that went and acted in a Shakespearean actor's troupe. You grew up doing ballet and all the things that privileged white girls do. You are as much one of them as anything else. You are extolled as a beautiful actress, etc., etc. That is not the world. Like this is Mark Ruffalo talking. It's like,
Yeah,
I'm surrounded by
think
people that hate Trump, so everybody in the world hates Trump. Like, I mean, who even elected this man? Like, I don't know anyone that voted for him, so clearly. And I'm surrounded by, like, people of color, and we all think the same thing, and we're constantly talking about LGBTQ trans representation. Like, everybody feels this way, right? It's like, no. Like, I don't want to see films that represent the world that you're from, Tessa. Privileged people that are, pedophiles left, right, and fucking center. Everyone's a fucking millionaire hiding their fucking money offshore so they don't have to pay taxes while claiming that they want socialism so everybody's taxed equally. You lying fucking scumbag hypocrites. Get fucked, bitch. You're a pretty girl that was raised in a fucking artistic environment. You went to fucking a Shakespearean acting school and then went to work in a Shakespearean troupe. You think that's representative of the majority of black folks in America? You think you're remotely representative of anybody? How the fuck are you...
Look, you keep using a word I'm going to disagree with here. You keep saying that she's attractive. You said beautiful. You said pretty. Fairly synonymous words.
Yeah.
When she says shit like this, she gets real ugly real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't find her that attractive to begin with. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't have sex with her, but I would be saying, it's going to take a little work on my part. But she's okay looking. But when she says stuff like this, she gets real ugly. And I don't think that that's a really good thing for your image as much as these clowns think it is. They seem to think this is going to help their careers by coming out as super feminist or whatever. I don't think it is. I think this is going to, in the long term, make her look ugly to the general public the more they hear this.
I just don't understand what's at the root of stuff like that. There's zero pushback. And when I say pushback, I just mean basic questions of where are you going with this. I just like things that are inclusive, and the entertainment journalists that live on access to people like her just go, never challenged. I'm not saying yell at her. I'm not saying call her a racist, which what you're saying is actually like really, really, really racist.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you can't be racist against white people. We learned that.
Like, if you're in America, the majority of people that you're going to encounter, if you live in like the real world, not an isolated world, meaning you only ever fly back and forth between New York and Los Angeles, the majority of people you're going to encounter are white, because the majority of people in America are white. I mean, why does this hurt your soul so much? You know where you're also going to encounter white people, Tessa? When you go to your mother's house.
No, she disowned that bitch because white people, am I right?
Fucking pisses me off.
I mean, you're just making me more vindicated for having not seen any of the movies that have her in it. I've never seen any of those MCU movies that have Valkyrie in it, right?
She's okay as an actress. I don't think she made a good Valkyrie. I think a traditional Valkyrie would have been better. But hey, nobody listens to me.
I mean, I see what you mean. Like, since her comments in 2018, and then it goes on to list all the movies she's in, she doesn't practice what she preaches. No, because they're giving her millions of dollars where she can continue to live in her isolated Hollywood world. And she's finally getting what she wants, being Hollywood royalty. I mean, I've always deserved this. I mean, I'm fucking awesome. Now, let me tell you how to live your life and what's wrong. And now let me present you with a bunch of images that are going to like shape your worldview. I mean, that's what I, as an actor, should be doing. While discussing her role as Bianca Taylor in Creed, Thompson stated, "I hope we get to a space where there is so much content where women are just what we are, which is multifaceted and dynamic. So it's noteworthy when one appears in a film." That was a contrived ass statement. It was tough to read. I get your point. You want more complex characters. Yeah, I'd like more complex characters too, generally. And you make it sound like women are the only ones that are made. Well, women are turned into things. And take a look at all of the men that you've like, the buff, ripped men in all of the MCU films that you've been in, and Creed. And who put Creed forward? Oh, right, Sylvester Stallone. Goddamn white man. Fuck. I'm so mad at you hiring me, making me famous. You fucker, quit oppressing me with your money and stardom. You piss me off, Tess. It's just such an unsurprising thing for a Hollywood actress to say. Like, yeah, I'm gonna say the things I'm gonna say about it, but I'm not really surprised in reading that. It's just bland, generalized inclusivity. Am I right? Yeah, you so right. You trend whore.
She's so right. She's so right.
Man, all of this stuff is a fucking trend. All of it. And the reason why is that people ask about it. We talked about like the Andrew Garfield interview where he's asked about, would you be okay with a gay Spider-Man? And he was like, yeah, I guess. Oh, would you be okay with a trans Spider-Man? Yeah, because he doesn't want to say no, because otherwise it will be Andrew Garfield says no trans Spider-Man ever would be the headline. And he knows that. So he's
it's transphobic. Andrew Garfield says no to trans Spider-Man.
Yeah. Massive backlash against Andrew Garfield for transphobic statements. That's what it would be. And then shill up to fake ho the next day would be, wow, disgusting. Why we need to talk about Andrew Garfield's transphobia. All these people get fucked.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done with that. Any final thoughts,
Are
gentlemen?
you?
Yeah. Don't judge me.
What Polly said.
Oops. Hold that. Don't want to do that. There we go. I don't know if I want to jump right onto that. Let's go to another bounding article where we can. I don't even know what this article says either. Let's just go into this. I saw the title and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it.
I have to bring up one very important thing about that Tessa Tompkins article. Hey,
Go on.
Bounding into comics.
Yeah.
If you guys are watching Comic Book Curation, give us a nod in your articles, because the one euphemism I use all the time when talking about these celebrities, this bullshit things with celebrities, I always say ivory tower, and that article ended with maybe Tessa needs to come down from her ivory tower.
No, she would have an ebony tower because the ivory one would oppress her.
Oh yeah, because it's white. Yeah, that's a good point.
She needs some kind of Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney ebony and ivory swirl tower.
Yeah, like a twist cone.
I can only imagine if you were to ask Tessa Thompson about that. Be like, wait a minute. Like, you're talking. It's like, yeah. And because I, as a multiracial person, understand that society is not just made up of one kind of person. But in saying that, you're admitting that you in the film are not representative of a large swath of America. Or the world, for that matter. What makes you think, pretty light-skinned girl with the straight hair, that black women look at you and see themselves? No. They see a lot of... I don't know if you know this, but there's a lot of resentment that the only black actresses that get hired tend to be light-skinned with straight hair and thin. Is that representative? No, it's not. What Hollywood actor, male, female, young, old, are representative of anyone? How many ugly actors can you think of? Besides who? Buscemi, Paul Giamatti. There's very few ugly actors out there. And generally speaking, when they're ugly, they're awesome actors, and they made it through because they're fucking awesome actors.
Yeah.
The rest of them are Hollywood actresses, they're a bunch of fucking airheads that would have been models in another life and did modeling. They're just like, they were also doing acting at the same time and also taking singing lessons. And if a band launched off for them, they'd be happy to do that. These people are just fucking performance attention whores. And I'm fine with you acting the role, but what makes you think that you can describe the way that people should live? Get fucked. All right, speaking of ugly people, Jonathan Frakes on Star Trek Picard. Critics. They're watching to make sure that they hate it.
What?
Jonathan Frakes says that Star Trek Picard critics are watching just to make sure that they hate it.
I don't need to watch it to know that.
Well,
I saw the trailer. Read the reviews.
Jonathan Frakes, you do know that there's a term for this thing that you're describing. It's called contempt prior to investigation. Would you prefer if people were to judge a book by its cover and just immediately not watch something without doing some research and figuring out why they should or should not consume a product?
Yeah.
Look, what little I've seen of Star Trek Picard, the criticism's pretty legit. So he doesn't have to like it. He's probably bound to say something like this by his publicist or the contract or whatever. So yeah, I get why he's doing this, but don't shit on your fans. That's just common sense stuff.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. Well, I'm sure he isolates. I don't think thinks he's shitting on his fans. He's probably isolating a small group of them off from the rest, or attempting to, and saying, "Oh, well, these people that are shitting on the show are just, you know." Well, let's see what he said, because I actually don't even know. Like I said, I just saw the title and thought, yeah, why not? Number one actor Jonathan Frakes recently appeared on GalaxyCon's Facebook live stream. During his conversation, the actor and director discussed plenty of issues related to Star Trek. One that stuck out was his views on fans who are critical of CBS All Access Star Trek Picard. Frakes discussed fans who are critical of the show while reflecting on his own experiences during the convention circuit. He told a story about his first Star Trek convention, right after the premiere of Star Trek The Next Generation, and the hostile crowd he faced. Yeah, no doubt it. At the beginning of the discussion, Frakes is asked about what it felt like to enter the weird, strange world of fandom. He answered, "The first convention I ever did was in Syracuse, New York. And it was the winter of '87, and the show, I think, had started that September. So the audience had a very hardcore original series audience. They were skeptical. They were suspicious. They were generally not terribly interested and completely unfamiliar with this new Star Trek, which had a bald English captain with a French name and an entirely new cast. They wanted Kirk, Spock, and Bones. I had no idea the world I had entered was going to be what it was going to be like. I had no idea, blah, 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 blah." Okay. I get it. This. Around the 22:30 minute mark, Frakes is asked about when the Star Trek original fans began to embrace him. That was a lot, maybe 50 or 60 shows in.
When he got the beard.
Well, that's when everyone keeps on saying is when the show got good, is when Frakes grew the beard.
Yeah. The show improved dramatically, and he had a beard, and he looked cooler. Sorry, Polly. Go ahead.
What? Did he actually say that, or are they just being smartasses over abounding in a comic? He added, they, meaning Star Trek fans, realized there was room in their world for both shows. And then Paramount, in its wisdom and greed, produced Voyager and Deep Throat 9.
He didn't call it Deep Throat 9.
That's what it says, though.
Oh.
It says Deep Throat 9,
it says,
really?
Yeah, look, right there.
That's awesome.
So, like, is that bounding into comics being assholes, or was this Frakes in an unguarded moment being a prick?
Hard to say, but if he said that, I gained respect for him.
Well, yeah, I would say that's a pretty ballsy thing to do. I thought that Deep Space Nine was one of the most highly regarded of the Next Generation shows.
Yeah, it's okay.
So it went Deep Throat 9 in Enterprise, and it went on, and then we shut down, and they shut down, and JJ kept it under wraps until he produced the movies, which were wonderfully received. Excuse me, fuck, I didn't have time to get to the mute button. Excuse me. And they had the same sort of resentment about Star Trek. Hey, I like the JJ films. They're just Star Trek as an action film. Frakes then discussed the reception of Star Trek Discovery. Okay, now we're getting into the meat. Because it's not just Picard, Frakes. It's also Discovery. And your new woke, weird Trek is just not appealing to people. I'm sorry, it's just not. Anyway, Frakes then discussed the reception to Discovery. But my friends at Discovery, which I was privileged to be a part of and still am, hire me to direct more, please, please, please. There was a similar vibe when that show came out. People, they didn't want to find room in their hearts for another Trek. Which there clearly is.
No, they just didn't want trash.
Yeah. And they touched on Picard. And one of the reasons that was not a factor in the launching of Picard is because the hardcore fans love Picard and were inclined to look forward to the show and look forward to having him and look forward to whatever the story, because they knew him and knew who he was. And I think that, okay, you haven't really said much here. Jesus, man, you talk a lot without saying. And I think the familiarity with all fandom, it's so important. It's like the canon of these shows, which you're fucking in the ass raw dog with no lube in a back alley. They want a touch point. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And it's important. And clearly worked because Picard was wonderful. Okay.
See, publicist made him say that.
Some argue the familiarity that Frakes is talking about isn't there with Star Trek Picard. No, it's not. Not at all. And the canon? What canon? You're fucking it in the ass. You're destroying it. The canon, you completely ignored that the fucking Dominion War even happened. There isn't a single iteration of Star Trek that failed to acknowledge that. Like, I mean, I know, like, outside of Trek, what does that matter? A Dominion War, who gives a fuck? It was a massive event that happened inside the universe. To ignore it would be like making a Star Wars film and being, you know, the evil Galactic Empire had their Death Star destroyed. When did that happen? That never happened. Moving on. It'd be like, no, that was like a major fucking incident. If you remove it, what the hell? What? Who's got audio leaking?
What?
Whose audio's leaking? Who's listening to something?
I was trying to see if he actually did say Deep Throat 9 in that interview.
All right then. That's fine. I'm like, are you watching another stream while you're on this one? Oh, that's okay.
How is it bleeding through? I'm on headphones.
I don't know how to tell you. It's like
I don't know. We can hear it though.
I heard something, and that's why I stopped talking, because I thought, oh shit, I'm talking over Jack or Quiz, and my headphones have cut out again. But no, that was just Quiz ruining the stream. It's fine.
Hey. Look, I'm trying to see if he actually said Deep Throat 9. Okay, one thing that Jonathan Frakes did say in that interview thing here, this live stream, was that Riker's beard is known, like in Urban Dictionary and stuff like that, as the opposite of jumping the shark.
That's awesome. Well, that show jumped the shark, but they Riker's beard it later.
Yeah. They jumped the shark, but they saved it when they Riker's bearded it.
It's a little awkward to work into a sentence, but I like it.
I love how they even referenced it in the show multiple times. His beard. When Q shows up, he's like, "Why so stolid, Riker? You weren't like this before the beard." Like, just why? Why not? That was good.
Why not?
It's almost like when writing was fun, and it's not like, why the beard? Don't you know that that's just a male affectation to make trans people feel bad? Like,
you monster.
Actually, I mentioned that because one time the women on the ship did, like the women meaning Crusher and Counselor Troy, did claim that Geordi LaForge's and Will Riker's beards were just male affectations, like costumery. And he goes, "My beard is not an affectation." It's like, well, it's interesting that women can't grow one. And it's like, oh, look, men and women are still having the same arguments in the 24th century. It's almost like SJWs aren't going to solve these problems by bitching on Twitter or something.
I don't know. I think your gender binary narrative is very bigoted.
Well, you gotta also remember that Star Trek Next Generation is the place where men can wear dresses for no terribly apparent reason.
What?
Do you not know about this?
Yeah, there's one shot with one guy wearing a skirt. What's your point?
Well, there's several in several different episodes.
It was a kilt.
No, it's a full dress, dude. It's
space kilt.
It's Uhura's dress. It's a onesie. It's a onesie dress.
Oh, fuck.
Space kilt.
It was before the beard. It was pre-beard. They ran out of costumes. They put him in a woman's outfit. Big fucking deal. Anyway. Where was I?
Well, I'm just saying, that's the thing. Okay, here's some juxtaposition, right?
All right.
There's a lot of people that sit there and say, you know what, it's fine if a dude wants to wear a dress in the whatever far-flung future Star Trek is in, and society is okay with that. Who are we to judge that. But you can't turn around and say that and say, yeah, cool, whatever, and then also have the same sort of thing with Crusher and Troy, saying that it's a male affectation and getting all gender warry about that, right?
Look, it's
And,
obvious that Crusher and Troy are turfs. That's all there is to it.
well, you can't do both. You get one or the other. Which is it?
Have you met SJWs? Because they can do both all day long.
Oh, yes, they
Because they're
can.
crazy people.
You're not wrong. They do all
Yeah.
the only thing that they do consistently is morally denounce. It's not like they have principles. I mean,
Yeah, principles. That sounds like a patriarchal affectation. I'm gonna go ahead and dismiss that. We're gonna decolonize that crap right from our bodies.
I mean, okay, Oval Potato says something here. It's very interesting and demonstrates that he has good taste. Polly, why do people dislike Star Trek Enterprise? It was the first one I watched and I enjoyed it. Star Trek Enterprise is extremely underrated. And people hated on it. They not hate on it. I just don't like it. It was a mistake to do a prequel. Prequels were all the rage with Star Wars and everything. That was the lame idea. It was decompressed storytelling, and it really is. But overall, the show's pretty good. It's just a different kind of Trek, but it's still pretty goddamn good. Yeah, and if you watched Discovery and hated it, go back and watch Enterprise and tell me you still hate it. I mean, there's some relativity here. And people who talk about that they like Star Trek, usually they're talking about one show, usually Next Generation.
I would argue that Enterprise started out a little too much like your average 90s show, and it got better with each season. So if you jumped in on season 1, you got to stick with it for a little while.
That's not
until
unfair.
it gets really good.
Yeah.
Because the last season especially was way better than the earlier seasons.
Man, the last season is that example of things that people hate to talk about. It was season 4 is epic. It so good compared to the previous 3 seasons. It's like the culmination of everything. Everything came together finally, but it was too fucking late by then.
Yeah, the main problem with that show is they never resolved the one dangling plot thread of when is he going to leap into a new body.
I was
Never
waiting
once
forever for them
stand
blue
out.
streaks to happen, and it just
It just never happens.
I know.
It's like watching the Highlander and nobody's head gets cut off. It's such a dick tease through the entire series, and you watch the entire time, and you're like, when the fuck is Sam gonna jump? And he doesn't.
And you know what the worst
And you
thing
never
is
see Dean
about that?
Stockwell.
He jumps back into a previous version of his own body before he became captain of the Enterprise. And there were no blue streaks.
Well, it's not a technical jump then, because he was jumping as the captain, not as Sam Beckett.
Oh, right. He was time traveling as the captain. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, it's a fucking scam, really. And I was really bitter about that for a long time.
You know,
Not really.
this has to exist online, Jack. Somebody had to write this. That he's not Captain Archer. He's just Sam Beckett having leaped into Archer's body. And Al just couldn't catch up with him because he's in the future. That's why Al never showed up. We have to write this.
Exactly.
We have to write this.
Al's dead. I know. I would totally watch that episode where they finally was like, oh, thankfully I'm done. And they see the blue legs. Like, why hasn't Scott Bakula done this in a fan film?
It's like, my God, I wanted to bang that hot Vulcan chick for so long, and I knew that I wasn't supposed to because you're supposed to be with Charles Tucker the third trip. This is lame. I mean, poor guy. Anyway.
Yeah, but overall, it's not a bad show. I mean, it's no Voyager.
You're not wrong. Damn it, Jack.
See what I mean? When people say they like Star Trek, they're usually thinking of one, maybe a couple of shows. They're not thinking.
I've never claimed to be a big Star Trek fan, though. I only like 1 or 2 shows.
You're not wrong about the season 4 thing, because that's In a Mirror Darkly is season 4.
Yeah, that's a great episode.
Oh my God, I love the intro to that.
2-parter.
It's yeah,
fantastic.
The juxtaposition of because the intro to Enterprise is all exploration and westward expansion, is all of the weird sort of imagery of going off into the vast unknown, right? And then in those episodes in particular, you know, since it's going into the mirror universe of the original series, has all of the exploration footage replaced with war footage, and I love the fuck out of that intro. It was great. I want to see a Star Trek purely based around the factions in it going to war. That's what I wanted to see. And I know Deep Space Nine has something along those lines, right? Like there's a war later in the series.
In Deep Space Nine, yeah, that's the Dominion
Yeah.
War I was referencing.
The Dominion War. Okay, I need to see that because I've not. I'm very peripheral when it comes to Star Trek. I've seen a couple of episodes. I'm not opposed to it, but at the same time, I'm not as dedicated as some of these other people, like say Polly.
Yeah, I dipped out of that one. I got bored real fast with it.
We One Ton Hammer doesn't like it either. He calls it Deep Sleep 9. I'm one of those rare people, man. Everything, like including animated series. But if All Potato brought it up, and it's like why do people dislike it so much? Well, that's where my headcanon starts. I remember when years back when Paramount announced that the animated series was now considered canon. I was so excited. I was like, I have to go back and like I got to get it now. Like it's canon because it matters now. I don't give a fuck what Paramount says is canon now. You dirty, filthy corporate bastards. I couldn't give a fuck less what they think. And I remember when it mattered because they were actually reasonable stewards of the franchise, of the intellectual property, whatever you want to call it. Now they're just a bunch of miserable fucking pricks. Like, oh, we'll use this as the crown jewel in our new streaming service. I don't really think that you guys cared one way or another. You just...
No, it was a cash grab.
God, it's fucking awful. But of All Potato asks Sam Beckett. Okay, yeah, I think we lost the guy who made us correct that joke.
I explained it in chat. Sam Beckett was a character that Scott Bakula played on an '80s show called Quantum Leap.
It was into the '90s too.
Yeah, but it started in the '80s.
Yeah. And I just recently did a dive into it. Purchased.
Purely legitimate means.
Yeah, purchased the series, and I watched a bunch of episodes. You want to talk about a dangling thread, Jack? Remember the last episode of Quantum Leap? Oh my god!
Oh, anyway. That was the most depressing fucking ending ever.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell was that? The whole episode was just fucking baffling. After rewatching it, I went and did a dive online to find out, and it. Remember when I was telling you, Quiz, found out that there was like a 2 or 3 endings that were filmed. And it was like rumor that was floating around out there, and the creator of the series, Donald Belisario, and he was the writer of the last episode, writer of a whole bunch, but the last episode as well, denied that there was even such a thing. And then a script surfaced, and then on eBay, a bunch of screenshots and original film stock was purchased. And look, they did film it. Belisario just obviously forgot that he had actually wrote this and filmed it. And then here's the alternative ending. Remember who the person was that bought that stuff on eBay?
Obscurus Lupa.
Yeah, Alison Pregler. It's like, what the fuck? Okay.
I really shouldn't be using her name. Don't go watch her channel. She has me blocked on Twitter, and I don't remember ever saying a single thing to that lady.
Yeah, fuck that bitch then. Look, Quantum Leap, the ending made sense. It just wasn't satisfying. But if you look at it from the sense that of his moral compass, it made a certain amount of sense. It was just an unsatisfying series ending.
Yeah.
But it fit for the character.
I would be okay with it that Sam Beckett never made it home again. Spoilers. Like he decided to just keep leaping.
Spoilers on a 30-year-old show.
Well, yeah.
Well, I guarantee you, most of our audience probably doesn't know about Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap is worth watching. I mean, it revived a little life in the meme world with Scott Bakula walking around saying, "I'm retarded."
I'm retarded.
When he leaped into a retarded kid.
Yeah. They open up the door and there's the window on it, and it's this like big dumpy like guy that's obviously got the tism.
Okay, holy
Look,
fuck, have we taken a deep dive off the subject? Let's
well,
just...
this is a bit of sci-fi history, and it did have a comic book for 2 issues from Innovation.
Oh, I
So
remember seeing a Quantum Leap comic book. I never
yeah,
read it though.
it's really hard to find. There's Millennium did, I think, a 2-issue series, and so did Innovation, and the one's really hard to find. I think it's the Innovations one. But
Okay.
yeah, it is relevant in a sense because that is a big part of sci-fi history that's been forgotten. Because a lot of the 80s and 90s stuff really just gets kind of swept under the rug. And that was really a good golden age if you wanted to watch TV with super heroic type characters like Quantum Leap.
Well, yeah, that's see, that's a really good point, Jack, because like what else really was there in the like 80s and 90s other than say like Star Trek?
Oh,
'Cause-
you had Automan, you had what was the one with Desi Arnaz Jr.? I forget. It was
Chips?
similar to Automan. Hmm?
Chips?
No. It
I'm just...
it was like a Tron type car. There was Viper, which was like a Knight Rider type knockoff.
Manimal.
Manimal, great show.
talking about good shows, guys.
Misfits of Science.
Yeah, I'm naming these things, Quiz, from 80s Dan. That's how I know of them. I've
Oh,
never
okay.
heard of these shows outside of Cinema Snob and his 80s Dan
Voyagers?
series.
Voyagers. Was
Oh,
great.
yeah,
Time
Voyagers too,
Travelers.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say, you know what
V?
one I kind of liked was Alien Nation.
Yeah, Alien Nation. That movie was better than the TV show.
You know
but
what?
the
Of course.
movie was
V?
fucking awesome.
When I went,
Yeah.
I recently purchased V.
Yeah.
Recently,
I
like,
can hear the air quotes when you say that.
it was like 6 months ago. And I went back and down. It did not take the form that I thought. I thought it was a series. And it's like,
It was the TV series was only 13 episodes. The
Yeah.
2 TV movies are the real canon for that in my head.
when I
because
purchased
those
it,
were
it came in the
both.
form of TV movies, like not
Yeah.
with obviously inserted commercial bumpers. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they like completely artificial. They're not like story breaks. Like, in Star Trek, you can tell when it's commercial time because like,
Yeah.
Captain, what are we gonna do? Dun, 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 as he looks out the window, and you can tell it was meant to go to commercial. V just cuts in the middle of a scene, and then they do this crappy little edited bumper, and then it comes back to another crappy little edited bumper, and it's like, this is awful.
Yeah. Well, V had that total comic book flair. The comic book from DC didn't last that long. It was less than 2 years. But those 2 TV movies were fucking great, and some of the special effects still look pretty good.
I only like if you're talking about V, the only thing I even know even remotely about that show is the one with Marina Baccarin, the new one.
Yeah. I never saw the second season of that,
I didn't
but I thought it was okay.
I love when I look up in chat and I see like Gamer Valine and Ryan Walters having just their own discussion. It's like, do they just enjoy each other's company, or are we boring as hell? I'm not sure.
A little from column A, a little from column B. Oh, Unholy Reaper also pointed out Airwolf. Yeah, which was Knight Rider in the Sky.
Yeah, I know.
And
That one got like what, one season?
there's a couple, I think. Jan Michael Vincent and Ernest Borgnine. Come on. But there were tons of shows. Mantis was a fun superhero show, but it had no budget. They had to recycle footage all the time.
Every time I hear the name Ernest Borgnine, I think of like a tall, slender man in a tuxedo at a piano.
I think of a short, fat guy with a big gap in his teeth that looks like he's a drunk that may or may not be trusted around children.
I just think because the name probably reminds me of Engelbert Humperdinck.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway, back to the article. Stewart, meaning Patrick Commey Stewart, explained, I think that what we're trying to say is important. The world of Next Generation doesn't exist anymore. It's different. Nothing is really safe. Nothing is really secure. And then you went on in that very same Variety article that we talked about months back, where you said, of course, it's going to be about Brexit and Trump. Ugh. Star Trek Current's course chooses to ignore Gene Roddenberry's views of a hopeful future. Instead, what you get in your face is propaganda that has been thrown at fans for years now. So true. Finally, the multi-million-dollar question was asked. Host Mike Brodiger brings up that there are a number of Star Trek fans who are unhappy with Picard. Frake responds, but they'll watch it. They're watching to make sure they hate it. It's not just a small amount, and I get that idea. The fact that they're even aware of it, or that it's even remotely on their radar, tells me that they're very much aware of it. If I don't know how to say this, like I get the idea that you always need to remain positive, but that you had an answer at the ready tells me, Jonathan Frakes, that you've heard back that, wow, this is not really being liked. And they know what something is like when it's not being liked. You know, in the MCU, for example, they goddamn well know the difference between Captain Marvel and the way that it's being received and the way that people are talking about it, and Infinity War and Endgame. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I didn't know what to say.
But they're not unaware. You see what I'm saying? And it's like Jonathan Frakes. It's like, oh, it took a while for them to accept us. Yes, because Next Generation was a very radical departure from original series in the way that it looked. A lot of the first season episodes, I think of them as TOS throwbacks, because a lot of them are, where they visit theme planet. You know, like the entire planet is one monogamous culture, etc.
Yeah.
Homogeneous culture, rather.
That sounded awkward.
They did visit a planet where they were all monogamous, non-binary people. I love bringing it up. One day the SJWs will have to talk about it. It happened.
No, they won't. They'll never address that.
The 24th century cis-normative. It's canon. It's oh, hey, Jacob. Jacob showed up. Frosted Glass brought up Deadwing Dork. Yeah, I love him. I know. I saw what you typed.
He said, yeah, he said dark.
I know. Don't be far and deconstruct the jokes. Okay.
It's too late.
Let's see what this idiot has to say. Jamie Markey.
Oh, great.
You know, hey, this probably exists. I had this idea.
Oh no.
I want to be able to, you know, Graphtreon, the version of Social Blade.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Social Blade with more information, more graphs, hence the name Graphtreon. It's basically graphing what's going on Patreon, that kind of stuff. I would like a website or application that does that, but for Twitter. What I would want to do is be able to look up someone's name like Jamie Markey and be able to graph the incidents of deleted messages for dates that they happened. So the y-axis would be deleted tweets or whatever, and the x-axis would be the date, the time period. I would love to see that. It's like when, like, because you would see a giant spike when they deleted a whole bunch of stuff. I would love to do it for incidents of words, because I would be willing to bet a C note that this bitch never even mentioned trans people, the phrase POC or racism before 2017.
Okay, A, you don't have that kind of money. B, no one's taking you up on that.
Well,
yeah, because
okay.
that's not,
in response to
sure
A,
bet.
go to hell. You're right, but go to hell. And B, I made the bet A because I knew no one would take me up on it. I don't have to have the money.
Okay, that's fair.
Give me money.
Give me money. Who are you,
That
Jack?
was subtle.
It's $5. Can you really sit at home enjoying this entertainment and not paying me? Yes, you can. If you don't have the money, don't pay me. It's fine.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I like that she said, if you don't have the money, you should be out working. Well, if they had jobs, they wouldn't be watching you because they would be at work.
Right. I mean, the disconnectedness, the airheadedness of that blows my mind. People
That chick
crack
was
jokes
fucking
with
weird.
you. It even spilled over to me sometimes. Here's my last $5. I was going to give it to a homeless person, but here you go. I mean, these are jokes. She was serious. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
It blows my
Yeah.
mind. Whew. Have you ever actually, I did the other day, did the math. I went to Graphtreon and took a look how many followers she has on Twitch and how many subs she has on Twitch. I multiplied that by $5. Jesus Christ. She's got a lot of money coming in. Like a sincere lot of money. I understand everybody's greedy, but like this girl's like, person in like an ancient treasure hoard going more. Like it's
Yeah, she's like
Swimming in her gold bullion. Yeah.
it's like every D&D dragon ever. Um, yeah, that's why I set my Patreon to $1. So if you want in to watch those exclusive videos, then you only have to give me $1 a month.
Mhm.
That's Patreon/Bad Comic Reviews.
on an unrelated subject. Here's the link. We appreciate it. It allows us to spend more time legitimately, because it's like, oh, this is a legitimate trickle of money in from the side, or significant, whatever it might be. Tough to figure out the right adjective because you don't want to sound greedy, even if especially if you're not, right? So it's like, oh, I can afford, it makes sense to spend more time on this, better quality content, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so you legitimately are supporting the show, but not if you don't have the money, for God's sake. It's like, oh, look at my thigh-high stockings. Yeah, they're great, but there's girls that'll like shove things in orifices for the same amount of money you're asking for to just sit there.
Yeah.
Bitch, it's free on Pornhub.
I'm not even trying to be crude. Well, yeah, I was, but you get my point. Like, fuck. I was watching something last night that made me think of that girl.
Yeah.
So Chris Hansen, God, we're way off comics now. We need a Chris Hansen comic so I can relate it back. Chris Hansen, pedo hunter, action extreme. They're interviewing one of the Davi Vanity victims, whatever. Do you know what this thing? Blood on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Okay. So
okay, yeah, you made me watch some Blood on the.
Yeah, because I wanted you to see how bad this electro pop thing was. I was shocked how bad it was, man. Like it's wow. Anyway, one of the girls is talking, and Chris Hansen introduces her, and he says, "So where did you meet this person this singer that had a reasonable career that you looked up to that ultimately ended up victimizing you when you were underage?" There's the full story chat, and she goes, "Oh, we met on MySpace." And he goes, "Oh, and you were a pretty big deal on MySpace." And she said, yeah, I really was. Far and I giggled about it for like 20 minutes, half an hour. We were rolling with jokes off of that. I was a big deal back in the day on MySpace. That's going to be a thing. That girl, Invader V, is that her name? Vader Vi, whatever. That's gonna be her in like 10 years. I was a big deal on Twitch. And people are like, Twitch? Like,
it'll be the modern digital equivalent of back in high school, I was the captain of the football team.
Yeah, I was just saying, I was like peaked on Twitch.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, it would be like the fat mom with 5 kids telling you, I was dating the captain of the football team. I was the head of the cheerleading squad. I was just such a big deal in my high school. And you're looking at this big fat butter whale telling you these stories, and it's wow, peaked early, huh?
Yeah, if your greatest achievement was in high school, you should probably analyze your life and try harder.
Jack says, I used to be somebody. Like Jack Kunske.
I used to be so, I could have been a contender.
So take heart, people. The majority of these individuals will, they're currently peaking, and it's going to feel bad when they fall because, it's what
she lost like 8. She lost like I can't remember exactly what the number was, but it was in the tens of thousands.
It was like 80,000 or something ridiculous.
Yeah, she lost like tons and tons of followers from that stream.
She should. That was a fucking stupid thing to do and say. And she should have caught herself saying it like, "Oh no, I'm just joking," or I don't know. Like I don't mean it like that.
She couldn't walk that back. But
no, she really couldn't. But
no, the one person that I think probably outlined everything the best is Count Dankula.
Well, before you say it, just really quick, Gary Valine, thank you very much for the $5 donation. Polly, Nancy Pelosi was shilling for $10 donations on Facebook. I don't give anyone my Streamlabs. I didn't give anyone my Streamlabs when I was on Monkey. I make sporadic content and my job pays good. But we have a millionaire begging for $10? That's why Invader was emboldened.
Right.
Do you think it's Nancy Pelosi, or just do you think that when the money's coming in like that, and you're literally sitting on a bed of cushions surrounded by plushie dolls and people throwing money at you for just being cute, you start to get into a space where you're gonna say shit like that? I mean, that's sheltered. I mean, holy fuck.
Both. It really is both, because you see other people doing it, you feel emboldened, and then people are throwing money at you when you ask for it, and it goes to your head. These people are typically spoiled children to begin with.
Yeah. I think when it comes to everything for donations and stuff like that, Count Dankula put it the best. You are under no obligation to donate to anyone. We're going to be doing this regardless. If you feel the want to support people or give money to content creators, then that is great and good for
Absolutely.
you. I hands down appreciate every single person who ever donates, and I'm trying my best to be entertaining, to try to provide insight, to help you to provide maybe opinions, controversial opinions to maybe think or argue over, stuff like that. But you are under no obligation to do that, and I'm not asking for that. And the people that do are scumbags.
Yeah, I mean, we appreciate it every time we get a donation, and we don't ever want people to think that we're taking advantage.
Yeah.
But people like this bitch, that they set a bad precedent for anyone that's trying to make a living doing this.
Yeah. Well, not even make a living. I mean, like, it's odd to say that you're going to be making a living off the generosity of other
Well,
people.
no, but I mean, she's asking for monthly subscribers, and there
Yeah.
are people that make a living off their patrons, and
Yeah.
they're doing the things they love, and they're getting paid for it. And if somebody cancels one, they're more likely to cancel a couple while they're in there.
Yeah.
So she's hurting herself, but she's also hurting other people that she's disenchanting fans that may be giving to other people that aren't assholes.
Speaking
That's
of
very
somebody
true.
who's an expert at disenchantizing fans, Jamie Markey claims that anti-quarantine protesters hope there will be school shootings again in order to sell more guns. That is the worst hot take ever. And chat, for anyone who just like came in, it's like, why do they have a picture of Jamie Markey up with some Dragon Ball character and they're talking about Nancy Pelosi? What's going on? Well, we just got off topic. It's fine. It's fine.
When have we ever been on topic? Look, she's combining like three things into one statement.
Absolutely.
That's such a mishmash. I don't even know how she could. Well, she's kind of dumb, so I guess that made sense in her head. But wow,
Let's just talk about who this is. I mean, the Funimation contract from 2012 or 2013, the voice actor contract was
Mhm.
leaked. Not really leaked. It's just a copy of it was given out to a number of people. Among them was Nick Rekieta, and he looked at it. It was $12 an hour. $12 an hour is what they were being paid at that time. Now, that was a number of years ago. It might have gone up since then. They might get some back end money, but when did a voice actor ever get back end money off of something they voice acted for animation? Like,
yeah, they make their money at the cons.
Yeah,
Oh, but
Hollywood or whatever. Yeah, I could see that. But Jack, I agree. It's through the conventions. Nick Minonya made that clear that it's like before the cons, this you had to have multiple jobs. It made it possible to do it. Your fan base is everything. Except when you're Jimmy Markey and then you turn into like, she doesn't have to make money off of this. You know why? Because she drives a BMW and this is all for fun. This is all for fun. She has a massive divorce settlement that pays her bills. No, seriously, she's a divorced woman and she's got a massive settlement because her ex-husband does very well and she scored very well in court through the divorce proceedings. That's how she affords her house in fucking Texas and her fucking BMW that she fucking drives, and she can afford to be just a bitch online because it doesn't matter. This is a hobby for her, not a career.
Is this the chick with the freakishly long arms?
No, that is the girl that totally tanked her own success. Mars Girl. I mean, Mars Girl could have. Jesus Christ! It reminds me of what's his nuts, Linkara. It's like you people were on what was once a huge platform. You should have just kept building your audience. There weren't many anime people over on that guy with the glasses / channel awesome. And you go back and look on it, it's like Mars Girl. Like, why the fuck would you just turn into this weirdo SJW type where it's like everything's about like it's like anime from Japan? That's not woke. They're not woke. They don't care about wokeness. Why wouldn't you just keep like focusing on anime? It's like Linkara. Why would you get all woke? Why don't you just keep focusing on comics? Especially because they got hotter and hotter and bigger, and you just kept talking about the same crap, and you started doing, god damn it, live streams of fucking shitty games that no one gives a fuck about, playing like Pokemon Sun and Moon when none of your followers are even into that. Like all these people are into destroying what their fans like about them. I don't get it.
A lot of people are afraid of success. And as somebody who's been around a lot of successful people over time that have imploded horribly, my advice would be, if you're ever becoming popular, save money. It's a short ride. Because if you don't self-sabotage, eventually your fame does fade. And bank some money. And that's the mistake all these idiots make, is they don't save their money. They say something retarded or do something stupid, and they destroy their own success. And we've seen it time and time again. You mentioned Channel Awesome. Apparently, damn near everybody on there's screwed themselves at some point, and they don't deal with it well. Look at Angry Joe. He got really fat. And
god damn it, Jack. I was in mid-inhale, you prick.
But yeah, and then
Goonies apparently dying of super syphilis.
Yeah, people make bad decisions, and the success goes to their head, or they don't know how to cope with it, and they freak out and they do dumb stuff. Or they shave their head, whatever Britney Spears did, and it's just one of those things. So start saving money, put it in a trust if you have to, buy some real estate. I don't know. Talk to a financial advisor for that shit. But if you're ever going to come into a bunch of money, talk to a financial planner and let them guide you through it, because these people always destroy themselves. And look at lottery winners and sports players. They're all doing the same kind of shit. It's just a smaller scale of what like a basketball player that blows out his knee and can't play again often does.
Yeah. Hey, Jack Gunsky talks about like, yeah, school shootings do cause gun sales to go up, but they're forgetting, as he points out, the intervening variable of people suddenly talking about gun confiscation schemes. The greatest gun salesman in the last 5 or 10 years is Beto O'Rourke. Well done, jackass. Well done.
Yeah, dude, I was at the gun store the other day. Not for buying guns. Those all fell in the ocean. And they had almost nothing left. They were sold out of almost everything. There were seriously like 40 guns in that whole store that weren't like shotguns or rifles. And he's like, yeah, we've been slammed. People coming in, buying their first gun. It's great. I was like, well, I wanted to get something.
So let's just, I wish there was a way that I could adjust the opacity of something when we go off topic, that I could like fade the... I guess I could just take it off the screen, but then, whatever. Anyway.
Hard cut.
So what'd this dumb bitch do?
She said some dumb shit, and it's a short article, so let's just pound through it, shall we? Dragon Ball Super and a certain scientific railgun voice actress, Jamie Markey, recently claimed that Americans protesting their state's quarantine laws in the face of the coronavirus pandemic wished for the social distancing restrictions to be lifted so, quote, there will be school shootings again, and in the hopes that they, quote, they can sell more guns. On April 16th, Vox... Oh, Jesus. Vox.
Oh, yeah. Access Media.
Hey, they're a trusted news source.
They according to YouTube, they are. You're not wrong. I just... Fuck me, man. And how much money did Vox end up costing you? Because of that... Speak quick. They hired and then fired intelligently, but if they're really intelligent, they wouldn't have hired them to begin with. On April 16th, Vox reporter Aaron Rupar shared a recent clip of Dr. Oz. Really? Dr. Oz? Like, that guy's a fucking quack.
Who's Dr. Oz?
I don't want to get into it.
Quack.
Yeah, he's a quack. Yeah. That guy's like oxygen therapy to increase your chakra. That guy's a nut bar, man.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. He's one of those daytime guys that's on before like Dr. Phil, so that like middle class housewives with no jobs can watch and get dumb ideas.
Yeah.
So he's from Goop. Okay, got it.
Oh, not quite full goop level, more like holistic stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like eat more oat bran and activated almonds to increase your overall health. Like quack health suggestions that go nowhere and don't really do nothing, you know?
Activated almonds. You know, all I got to say about activated almonds is I prefer my almonds to be very, very lethargic.
Do you know what an
I
activated
don't know.
almond is?
No.
It's a water-soaked almond.
When
There,
I
I
hear
spoiled the
somebody
mystery for
say
you.
activate almonds, I picture like there's this like sleeping tomb full of them, like those the clay figures in Asia, over in China. There, can't think
Are
of the
you
name of them right now.
talking about the terracotta soldiers?
Yes, terracotta soldiers. That's what I
Okay.
think of. And suddenly they come to life, like in the Mummy 3. So you have all these little almonds wearing like doughboy helmets, carrying little rifles. I would totally
Who
watch that movie.
remembers the Mummy 3?
I've never
Come
seen
on.
any of the mummies. Didn't even know there were 3 of them. Holy fuck! I thought you were kidding. Like,
Well, okay, no, Polly. The
It had
first
Jet
two,
Li in it.
yeah, well, the
It
first
does?
two were fairly good. The third one has Jet Li in it, and it's Chinese mummy, and
Yeah,
it's
it had Jet Li and Michelle Yeoh, and it was superior to Mummy.
You
2.
guys are
That movie-
making this
no, it
up.
was not. No, I'm
Mummy
not.
2
This sounds
trash.
so made up. Come on.
I am not.
Pygmy zombies. That was stupid.
No,
Ryan
I'm
Walters
not,
says
and-
activated almonds equals moist nuts. Well done, sir. I love it. Yeah, the thing that kills me about activated almonds. I don't know if you know where that came from, but it's so dumb. Because of the insanity, but some health nut, he's Australian, sorry Aussies, but he is, that would recommend these really weird, like he would, I guess, tweet, I think it was, or maybe post it on Facebook. Here's my daily meal plan. And the descriptions of the various things were like always had these odd adjectives in front of them. And one of them was like, he would have like a serving of almonds for lunch or whatever it was. And he always said activated almonds. And I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? And looking into it, it means like water soaked. And the idea activated, like when you would soak like a bean or something, it would begin to sprout, right? Like seeds do. It's like, they're roasted.
They're
The
already.
almond power activate.
Like you,
Just throw
like
butter
you,
around 'em.
yes, you could take a peanut and soak it and it will sprout like the way a potato would sprout or the way a bean would sprout. But not once you've roasted it, man. You just had, like he said, wet nuts. Enjoy your lunch. Fucking moron.
This sounds great. I kind of want to dive down this rabbit hole later.
Okay, so Animu. On April
Yeah.
16th, Fox reporter Aaron Rupar shared a clip of a recent Quackman discussing the prospect of reopening the United States with the anchor of the Sean Hannity show, conservative political commentator Sean Hannity. What? Okay, I'm just going to keep reading. Rupar highlighted a statement from Oz arguing that, quote, the opening of the schools may only cost us 2 to 3% in terms of total mortality, and that it might be a trade-off. It might be a trade-off some folks would consider. Right, okay.
So wait, hold on. Is he talking about mortality from school shootings, or is he talking about mortality from people dying from the virus?
From the virus is absolutely what I took. Like, if we reopen the schools, yes, it will slightly increase the mortality because of, people in close proximity to each other. That's absolutely what I grasped.
Yeah.
Rupar's tweet was in turn retweeted by prominent feminist and social justice theory Twitter account Feminist Next Door, who described the clip as being, quote, new from the one I deserve my guns more than kids deserve to live crowd.
Okay, wait. That's a leap in
Yeah.
in assessment.
But that has become, I've noticed that people are on the social distancing thing, like particularly SJWs and I know I keep using that term, but like, God, it fits for some people. They're just out there fighting the good fight, meaning sending angry things on Twitter or Don Lemon raging. You idiots, you absolute idiots. It's an opportunity to condemn whatever it is. You're going to cost lives if you can make it about someone's death, they're all the happier, right? Whether or not it's exaggerated doesn't make a difference. Feminist Next Door's retweet prompted Markey to respond with a bizarre anti-gun argument that protesters only wanted the restrictions lifted, so there would be more school shootings again, which would in turn lead them to selling more guns. And there's the tweet. Let's see that. They need kids back in school, so there will be more school shootings again. That way they can sell more guns.
Look, if nowadays, if there's a school shooting, all those kids are on Zoom, so it's just a family annihilator situation because they're all at home. So it's a dumb argument. Somebody that's going to kill people is probably going to kill people that are easy access to them.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Angela says that people do eat raw almonds. Ugh.
Gross.
Wouldn't they be like, not exactly mushy, but they'd be like, sort of like a carrot inside, you know, moist, but very crunchy? Like, ew.
I would imagine that it would break your teeth. Aren't almonds like ridiculously hard before roasting?
Is that it? They soften up with roasting?
I could have sworn.
I've never eaten a raw almond in my life. I don't even know why you would, but yeah.
Well,
yeah,
if your
I
almond is
guess.
hard for more than 4 hours, call a
Seek a
doctor.
doctor.
But look, this bitch is dumb. She's clearly not very smart, and is just throwing things together to try and sound like she's smarter than she is. And other dumb people will buy into that because they're dumb.
In response to the criticism that her remark may have been in poor taste, Markey claims that the criticism because she is a woman. Free speech, as long as no one ever might think it's offensive. I'm a woman. Everything I say is offensive to most of these trolls. I'm not shutting up because they're shedding snowflakes everywhere. Lady, there are plenty of women who do not get the backlash that you get. Free speech, as long as no one would ever think it's offensive. Wait a minute. You are not a free speech advocate. You are offense means you should shut up. It's almost like these people have no principles or something. Remember?
Principles are for the colonized.
And she, I'm a woman. Everything I say is offensive to these trolls. Lady, come
because
on.
they're evil, cis, normative white men.
For Christ's sake, look at your takes. Look at your takes. This is why. Why.
She can't. She's too dumb to realize that what she said was dumb. See, dumb people, like crazy people, don't know they're dumb. So when you point out that's dumb, they immediately feel threatened by that because they can't accept that and they won't admit it because they're smart in their own mind. And they're the smartest of their equally dumb friends.
I mean, I wonder if I'd love to talk to Jamie Markey because you got the 280 character Twitter fuckery going on, and it would I'd love to have her on camera and just be like, you realize the promotion of gun confiscation schemes is what's spiking gun sales. It's like
that they're releasing criminals left and right.
Well, Unholy Reaper makes a claim. It's like, I can't even keep up with the business. People are contracting me to build so many rifles and pistols. I believe them. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't think news coming out of places like Virginia that as soon as you elect Democrats, look what's the first thing that they do? And it's like, yeah, especially when they're funded by Michael Grab Your Gun Bloomberg. Evolved Potato, thank you very much. I just remembered I have a bone to pick with you. I've been watching the Chris Chan documentary. It's not my fault. I know I asked for it, but you should have warned me. I'm holding you accountable for it. I did warn you, man. What the fuck are you talking about? I directly warned you.
You didn't warn him enough.
Well, I remember Quiz was saying, no, it was great. I'm like, Quiz, it was awful. It's depressing. You're like, no, it's hilarious. Like, no, man, you were
I had a good time.
I don't know how.
Yeah,
that's monsters. I couldn't watch that trash. It's like
evidence you have a black heart, my
for
friend.
shit.
Ugh.
I thoroughly enjoyed my time watching it.
So Jamie
Now,
Markey
mind
continues
you-
to be an idiot. That's the news.
I cringed out of my skin a couple of times, but I still had a good time.
Let's cover this one. It's tangentially related. Anti-Defamation League wants to combat hate and harassment in video games, specifically targets Valve.
Oh, I read this.
I didn't.
Didn't we already read this?
No.
Oh, okay.
As Reclaim the Net notes, the Anti-Defamation League, ADL, is no stranger to going after companies when it comes to stamping out what they claim is hate. In June 2019, the ADL CEO and National Director Jonathan Greenblatt confirmed they were working with YouTube to counter hate. Jesus Christ, get fucked. Greenblatt stated, online hate and extremism pose a significant threat, weaponizing bigotry against marginalized communities, silencing voices through intimidation, and acting as a recruitment tool for hateful fringe groups. Give us money. That's what they're doing. Just if there is an extremity, then they're not purposeful anymore. So magically, they always seem to find a problem. It's almost like they're being paid to find problems. Wait, they are. Wait a minute. It's almost like they have a financial interest in continuing to argue that there's hate everywhere and it's constantly increasing. You need us to find it for you.
If they found an extremity, then I'm sure they're looking at the ends of their arms.
Well, okay, and Far says in chat, Chris Chan does get sadder, though. Let me, in case I didn't make my point strenuously enough by saying it was depressing and I found it sad and etc., don't watch the Chris Chan documentary. Now, of course, you can if you want to. But holy shit, man. Holy shit.
I'm fully aware of the fact that my tastes mean that I'm extremely morbidly curious about people like Chris Chan. So yeah, I take what I say if you are the same sort of masochist. If you're not, yeah, you may want to avoid it.
No, watching the Christian documentaries is not like going by a car accident and looking. It's like you pulled over and wandered the scene for 6 hours.
I would do that, Jack.
I know, and that's why you guys are the worst people to tell people not to watch this. Seriously, it's depressing and sad, and it's just this weird, messed up kid being weird and messed up, and there's only so much that the normal person can take before you break. You'll either break down crying or just like walk away numb to the world for like 2 days and be like, nothing matters. Sonichu is an original character.
Do not steal.
Yeah, you will just be sort of like in that so pained it's numb kind of thing. It's terrifying to watch. It's awful. This kid's life sucks. That's all I got to say. Don't go watch it.
It's a life of his own making.
So Greenblatt, this CEO of, I love that they have a CEO. I mean, yeah, I guess you need an executive officer for a profitable company. It's almost like that's exactly what you are. Non-profit organization, you bastards. He added, quote, "That's why ADL has been working with technology companies, including YouTube, to aggressively counter hate on their platforms. We were glad to share our expertise on this and look forward to continuing to provide input. Well, this is an important step forward. This move alone is insufficient and must be followed by many more changes that can only be advised by us by paying us directly so we can promote ourselves and thus get more money. Challenge hate. YouTube and other tech companies to adequately counter the scourge of online hate and extremism." Really? As for one of their next objectives, Kelly makes it clear it's video games. We will counter and conquer and spread through every new technology, no matter how ambivalent the creators are about the whole thing, and the whole industry's woke as fuck, but whatever. They're going after the game industry. One of the biggest issues he thinks in gaming the industry faces their create blah 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 online spaces. Yeah, they need to invade every space. I get it. Where's all this Nazi imagery from? What game is this from?
That is from Wolfenstein.
Huh?
Yeah, the game where you run around killing Nazis has Nazis in it. Oh my god.
But
oh, those monsters.
Is the whole point of the game that you're fighting Nazis?
Yes.
So what the fuck's their problem?
It's got Nazis in it. Weren't you listening?
I mean, like, Nazis are, like, everything is done to them in film.
Oh, it's glorifying them.
Have you ever seen Inglourious Bastards?
No,
they're just there as fodder. Like,
that was Hitler propaganda, very obviously.
Yeah, I guess. I think it's important that companies use their public voice in this realm and put on their platform, "We don't allow hate speech, and here's what we mean by hate speech." Unless, of course, that's directed at white folks, because Twitter doesn't allow hate speech, and you can find endless mockery and hate directed at white folks. See, I mean, seriously. It's like, oh, you poor oppressed white man. Well, so much for your fucking terms of service. It's not about hate. It's about marginalized communities. And define marginalized communities. Everybody but straight white males. That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, just be honest about it.
Yeah, just say everybody but straight white males. Because when they list POCs and LGBT and women and everybody but straight white males. And what that, it makes it very clear very quickly. The only ones you can safely target are X.
Yeah, they got to filter out the cockman oppressors.
Fucking hell.
Wow, now there's a reference, Jack.
Thank you.
Holy shit, this is long, man.
Man, I keep thinking back on that movie, and it was pretty apropos for, was it the early 90s? I mean, David Spade was ridiculously young in that movie.
What the fuck is going on here? Grand Theft Auto 5. It's like Miami stereotype being arrested by angry lady cop. Is that like a cover of the game or something?
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like promo art or something. It looks very similar to how they promote Grand Theft Auto.
Inglorious Bastards sucked anyway. Watch it, Frosted Glass. You're talking about, the hipster's savior right there, man. Be careful.
Yeah, first of all, I maintain Quentin Tarantino is aging into B. Arthur.
Well, I don't like the fact that you're maligning B. Arthur. You're not wrong.
I know, right? Like, maybe he builds a time machine or gets sucked through a time portal and becomes B. Arthur. I don't know. I'm not judging. I don't care. I just think he looks like B. Arthur. And he's not that good of a director. He just steals scenes from other movies.
That good? I would say that he's terrible, but
that's being nice.
Oh, Jacob Jet says it's a loading screen. You know what? Something just looking over at OBS. Somebody asked me why all the comic book images in the bottom right-hand corner, and then suddenly you've got Richard Roundtree from Shaft. Okay, actually, that's from Shaft's Big Score, the sequel. And
he is one bad mother.
Watch your mouth.
He really, but I'm talking about Shaft. Hold on. That worked out pretty well. He is so awesome and so over the top that he might as well be a comic book character, and that's why he's there. In fact, there's Shaft Comics, as Jack filled me in on. I didn't even realize that. I said,
Jack did not do. I did that, you motherfucker.
Whoa.
Whatever.
Misassigned credit. Wow. Okay. So Quiz filled me in on that there were Shaft comics. I was saying these guys after the stream, fuck, man, Shaft would make a great comic book character. Because I had watched all 3 movies for fun. I don't know, what was that, like 4 months ago? That was right before Christmas. I don't know, however long ago that was. I drink. Yeah. And I was like, there should be comics. And they're like, there were. And I went and read them. They were not bad. I think they could be more in line with the character as he was presented in the movies. A street level modern 70s noir detective. That's really it's a bunch of detective fiction, and it's fantastic. Yeah, Shaft's a great character. He's awesome. So yeah, that's why he's there, in case you were curious. Why is there this live screen image of a non-comic book thing? Because he should be, damn it.
Yeah, a lot of the blaxploitation stuff was really just comic book movies.
Yeah, I was saying that's a good idea. I should go and see if there's a Dolomite comic.
I wouldn't see there's the thing. Blaxploitation is so wide. Like there was so many, like any film that was like largely black folks and was not mainline Hollywood, right, got called blaxploitation. Well, is it Dolomite? Like, is it Petey Wheatstraw level or Disco Godfather level? No, like there was Shaft, and that wasn't like that at all. It was just, I guess it's a blaxploitation film, but I just think of it as it's a black detective film, really. It doesn't have any of the tropes of, Disco Godfather, for example.
But there's a lot of those movies that would definitely qualify as like 70s comic book movies.
That's very true. Oh, it's very true.
I mean, Superfly, come on.
The adventurism that's involved in it, and the action scenes, and oh, fuck yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's over the top fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like a lot of them. They remind me of comic book movies.
Mm-hmm. Let's handle this article really briefly, because I've obviously got a bone to pick with it. TLDR from CBR. X-Men's Phoenix Force needs to leave the Grey family alone. No, it needs to stay where it belongs, because the writers are being hacky as fuck Rachel Summers is the true Phoenix. Same.
Is the Phoenix Force a terrorist too? Because the rest of the X-Men are racial supremacists.
Well,
Well,
if you really hate the Krakoa thing, then Excalibur is for you because they're not really part of the whole Krakoa. I mean, they are, like, in the sense that every mutant is related to in the new Hickman storyline.
I got really bored with it really fast.
Did you?
Yeah, I lasted 3 issues. Then I was like, this is dumb. I'm out.
No, you should have kept reading. I mean, it's that. I'm not saying it's the most exciting thing ever, but it's better than X-Force.
Well, it's a low bar. There's a lot of stuff I'd rather spend my money on though. Like I'll buy some indie books and give those a shot rather than read that trash. The X-Men have been effectively ruined for me. They're just terrorists now. I'm still gonna get them because my comic shop guy cut me a sweet, sweet deal on the regular book as long as I keep reading it. Because he's like, no, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. No, it's not. How about if I half the price for you? No, I'm not gonna read it. How about if I give it to you for cost? All right, I'm in.
So, yeah, even though the X-Men are all about protecting the world that hate and fears them, not anymore. There were few concepts as central to the franchise as the Phoenix Force. Sort of.
Okay.
I mean, it was meant to be a major event, full stop.
Okay.
You know?
See, that's the thing, right? The Phoenix Force was always dealing with like cosmic entities and that was the X-Men's foray into extraterrestrial affairs with the Shi'ar Empire. Like that's where the Phoenix Force comes from, is that the Phoenix Force is the protector of the M'Kraan crystal.
Look, I think we're missing the real point here. They're upset about this because Phoenix is an American Indian word, and this is all cultural appropriation.
Oh.
All right, Evolved Potato says he's dipping out of chat. All right, man, appreciate you posting the links up until now. Awesome of you. And Jordan 250 says Orange Bird bad. Boo. Boo. No, okay, that was funny. Good. Actually, that was good. All right, an ancient cosmic entity, blah blah blah. However, stories involving the Phoenix almost also follow the same handful of beats. I'm interested to see what they detect from this. And they can start to feel more than a little tedious after enough repetition. Well, okay, hold on. Who's being sensible here over at CBR? Brenton Stewart. Wow, okay, Brenton.
He won't last long.
Shit. And even though the Marvel Universe is full of superpowered characters, the Phoenix Force has an unhealthy obsession with Jean Grey and her various family members. Inside the universe, I agree with what you said. Okay. Looking at it from a production point of view, the writers are hacky and keep recycling the same storyline because, people like this Claremont storyline of the Dark Phoenix way back in the day. And it's like, well, what happened after that? The Phoenix Force found that it liked having a human avatar because then it got to experience life, like embodiment, that sort of thing, as opposed to just being like a nebulous force out there in the universe. It didn't want to be with Jean Grey anymore. It replaced Jean Grey, whatever. So it went with the closest thing on Earth that it had a natural affinity with, which was Jean Grey's daughter from an alternate dystopian timeline, Rachel Summers. And it enjoyed it. They bonded. They bonded on a molecular level, and that was supposed to be it. And she even went by the name Phoenix because that's who she was. And it wasn't the Dark Phoenix. It was simply the Phoenix avatar that she possessed and had to constantly fight to keep that power at bay because it was so OP. So that
sounds a lot like character development. And we don't do that anymore.
Well,
Plus, there was a human host before Jean Grey now, and that was in Avengers 1,000,000. So yeah, they've retconned the shit out of this so much that it's meaningless.
That's a good point. Like it's retconning it and going back, and Jesus Christ, you're gonna have to tell me about Avengers 1,000,000 in a minute. Fuck, I didn't even whatever the hell is going on there. That's frightening to even hear about. But it's a healthy obsession with Jean Grey. Now, writers have an unhealthy obsession with being hacky and repeating an excellent storyline that was told fine. I mean, who came up with the Dark Phoenix thing was a Chris Claremont thing, and then who wrote that it went over to Rachel Summers because of this natural affinity and wanted to be Avatar, and the Dark Phoenix thing was done with and now embodied. Chris Claremont, same guy. Just stop.
Yeah. Stop
Well,
trying to
look,
hate Chris Claremont and just write something.
no, they have to
Fuck.
destroy what a better writer did so that they look better than him. Uh, that's the problem is we have a bunch of unimaginative dipshits that think that surface traits are character. So they have no love of continuity. They have no love of the history of it. They just want to spew out their little garbage in the now narrative. They don't care about the legacy of this. They don't even care if the books sell in the future, the reprintability of it. They don't care about that. They don't care about damage to the brand. They're for the moment. That's why the New Warriors thing was so offensive to people because it just shit all over legacy.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just reading through all of this. It's like John Byrne and Chris Claremont's Dark Phoenix saga, where it possessed her and had to do with her death. Yes, it did. Later stories have largely tried to have their cake and eat it too by redoing the Phoenix saga with characters like Jean Grey rather than Jean herself. Rachel, a daughter from an alternate future, became a reoccurring touchstone for such stories. I mean, other writers? You mean the same writer? That was the same writer. At one point, the Forest even built up as her birthright, and it was implied through the history of Grey from the Phoenix Forest and blah, 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 blah. Even with Phoenix Force Resurrection, the return of Jean Grey, Jean herself seemed to be getting tired of being part of the Phoenix Force's antics. Yeah. I mean, and then I don't. The Hope Summers thing, the whole misbegotten thing. I mean, is there going to be a woman in their family that doesn't have red hair? Like it's the same character over and over again. There's Jean Grey is who she is. Everybody knows her background if you've seen the X-Men films or whatever, or just have an idea of her background if you've seen the X-Men films. She is who she is, super OP mutant that needs to keep her powers at bay because, etc. You know, and then Rachel Summers, who's never been in the movies, but it's like her daughter from an alternate future and has this shattered memory and is this horrible thing full of PTSD, mutant hound. Like those are very, very different characters. They're not the same character. What's Hope Summers? Kind of like another red-haired lady that can be 16. So it's like they're constantly trying to renew the youth of these characters because they think that they always need to be this young age. Just keep them at that young age. Instead of introducing a new character that's really a recycle of the old character, but we're just going to give her the name Hope now. Oh, but she was at the center of the whole latest X-Men event. Yeah, well, there's your problem going back to that. Fuck off with the events.
We need a new event every quarter to keep our sales up. Thank you, Polly.
Number one nowhere
Like-
says should be Gene POC already. Yeah, I know. And then we've bitched enough times, right? That Marvel Comics wasn't able to take advantage of the MCU, almost like they were completely incompetent with the way that they handled it. So how did they handle the success of the X-Men films? Oh, I know what we'll do. Old Man Logan. Okay, go on. And Jean Grey is returned to being a youthful character. What? She's
they killed Wolverine too.
Right. She returns to being 16 years old. Jean Grey does? Well, yes, we need new, younger readers. What?
What?
And she possesses the Phoenix Force again? Why? This is such a fucking rerun. Let's go back to original Beast, Iceman, Angel, Cyclops, Jean, Marvel Girl, X-Men times.
They did that. It was called X Factor,
Well,
and it was better.
X Factor was awesome when they separated and it was just the five of them, like the original classic X-Men again. It was funny.
Yeah, it was pretty good for a couple of years. Look, they literally are intellectually bankrupt for ideas, and everything that would be interesting they can't do because it could be considered offensive to somebody. So when you're in those boundaries, you really can't do much of anything. That's why you always have these issues that are dragged out with people eating and drinking and talking about food because they can't do much else. Conflict creates controversy. So they try and avoid actually having the characters in conflict. The only thing they understand to do when they do put them in conflict is turn them evil.
Yeah.
Or fight crowdfunding.
Something just occurred to me. Oh, Pop Tart's here. Hey, Pop Tart. And Shady's here. Hey, Shady. A few people have been asking me to check Twitter. I'd like to, but while I'm sharing my screen, that's the browser that I have sharing, so I'd have to open another instance, which would drag my ground apple to a halt. So I can't really check Twitter during the show, but Quiz could.
I'm doing so right now.
Let's cover this last comic before, or article before we move on to pitches. Because this is about the state of the industry, and Diamond hopes to resume shipping comics in mid to late May. In the wake of DC Comics' major decision to start distributing their comics through, yeah, they hope to do it. It's not going to work. Moving on. DC wants to ship direct. Yeah, good luck with that. Jack, any thoughts on DC's scheme to start reshipping?
They used to have other distributors before Diamond, obviously. They're breaking the contract because Diamond's not shipping books, so technically Diamond broke the deal. So DC apparently is going to go a different way and have regional distribution, which is actually probably the way of the future if they're going to keep printing comics. They're going to go back to what happened in the 70s and 80s and before with different distribution by region. And there'll be one or two companies that you can choose from and deal directly with them. It's probably a good idea at this point. If Diamond is this poorly designed that they don't have more than a few weeks worth of money to pay for the shipping and stuff like that, then they can't really afford to continue to operate, and they'll most likely collapse. I fully expect Diamond to collapse anyway, which will screw a lot of indie companies, but that's either here or there. But we're starting to see this with other companies too. Alterna is going to step away from Diamond and do their own thing too. So I think you'll see more and more of that. Eventually, some of the smaller companies will probably consolidate and sign on with DC or somebody to do distribution. What they're trying right now is really a test run because they're not doing their whole line. They're just doing like 4 or 5 books a week for like a month. So the full run won't come back up until like probably May, June. I would say the end of May, early June, if this test run works. But they're really going through two. The one's a comic store, Midtown Comics, and the other one is, I believe, a comic company that also does, or a comic store that also does distribution for smaller press. So if it works out, they'll do larger releases, but we'll have to see. I think this is probably going to be the way it is. That Diamond's one way until it completely collapses, but it's really just to try and broaden the market, and this way that DC can also put their books in other regions too, not just comic shops, but in like Dollar Tree, stuff like that, which they really need to be doing with these dollar books to bring people in.
Yeah.
That's my
all I hear from Bleeding Fool, well, not Bleeding Fool so much, but Bleeding Cool and CBR is just wait, it's going to come back, etc. Like it's protectionism of their own position as being access media to comics. I sense a lot of unjust and baseless optimism.
Yeah, it's wishful thinking. Diamond, if they're this bad off already, it's not looking good. They will come back, but for how long is really the question. That I don't think they're going to collapse right away. They've already sort of collapsed, but there's a good shot they can come back for a little while. But if they could, if this hits again in the fall, which is pretty likely, it will destroy them. They don't seem to have the operating capital. They're not paying people out, so they probably don't have the money sitting on hand, and they've been effectively living paycheck to paycheck.
I said that was going to be the last article before pitches, but we might as well talk about this, and let's see how short we can make this, shall we? Fuck. Yeah, no, well, whatever. Preston Poultry trademarks Comicsgate. Back in August, September 2018. That's what I'm going with.
Okay.
Back in August, September 2018, Vox Day writer, editor, video game designer, blogger, and alt-right activist stated he was going to launch a comic book imprint called Comicsgate. Comic book creator Ethan Van Sciver, the unhealthy focus of the author of this article, Rich Johnston, you fuck, who has become associated with the hashtag, stated that Day had no right to the name and that Ethan then ran a YouTube show called Comicsgate Live, that he had the rights to make a comic book imprint called Comicsgate rather than Day. Oh, Jesus. However, within days of the... Oh, fuck. Look! Preston Poultry fucking trademarked the name Comicsgate. There. Fuck. Done. And everybody... Comics Twitter is just full of this discussion. Everybody fucking talks about it. Look, let me tell you something. You want the fucking hot take on it that I think is a legit, unironic hot take? Here, look. I'm going to put this article in chat. Or, excuse me, link to a YouTube video in chat from Just Some Guy. And if you're not watching Just Some Guy, you totally should. His content's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
He bothered to do the research. The video's only some 7-8 minutes long on copyright law. I'm no lawyer, and I haven't done the research myself, so I'm not going to attempt to even adequately summarize the way that he does so in his video. Seriously, go check out the video. It'll explain it well. If you guys haven't seen it, like you, Jack, you, Quiz, haven't seen it, you really should check it out. He covers it very well, that's not the way that trademarks work. The guy, Preston, claims that because I now trademark the name Comicsgate, I'm going to be able to stop certain people from using it that I don't want using it, and I'm going to put out a comic book anthology under, Comicsgate Presents and ha ha ha. Guys. He did it to own Comicsgate and specifically to piss off Ethan Van Sciver. It doesn't really matter. Can he really do anything he's claiming? Yeah, he could put out an anthology called Comicsgate if he wants, and Ethan Van Sciver can continue to do a show because he's been doing it.
No, he can't.
Okay, you go.
I filed a federal lawsuit on this. I know how trademark works.
Well, then go argue it out with Just Some Guy. He seems to make a fucking good case that it just doesn't work like that. It's like if he makes the argument in and around Apple.
It doesn't matter if Preston wins or not. He can drag Ethan into court and sue the shit out of him in federal court.
And if he doesn't win, then fucking Sciver will get the fucking money off of him, hopefully, for his court fees.
Not necessarily.
I didn't say necessarily. I said maybe.
Okay.
I think that it comes down to the fact that there's egos involved here where this is all spiraling entirely out of the wheelhouse of what Comicsgate was intending to be. Right? It was supposed to be a consumer revolt. It's not supposed to be something to trademark and market, right? In fact, actually, it's a rebellion against the market that's not catering to its customer. And if you're going to sit there and quibble over a name, then, especially if Ethan, to level some criticism against Ethan, if you're going to lose your shit about the Comicsgate not being something you can use for your stream anymore, then that's not really selling hot dogs, is it?
No, I get your point, but Comicsgate hasn't been a consumer revolt for far too long. I mean, it turned into something else a long time ago. I don't.
Yeah.
Let's say that Ethan Van Sciver decides to start calling his show something else, because he already put a cease and desist up against him, right?
I told him that he's gonna go after people that are using it without his permission.
How does a cease and desist have to work that a court is going to recognize? Can you do it in video form? Like if you just say, I'm asking you to cease and desist, like it's public, is that the same as a written letter?
It's not the same. You want to have your lawyer send a cease and desist.
Yeah, you can.
So you can send one, but it's not going to have the same weight with the court as if your lawyer does it.
No.
Yeah.
No, and saying it in video isn't nearly as good as sending a written one, because you want to send it certified mail so they sign for it.
Does it? Okay. I mean, I guess we can get into the discussion that like Poultry's not going to do it because does he really want to pay lawyers to haul Ethan into federal court when there's presumably very little money left in the end of it? Like what he's going to have to show damages. And again, I really don't want to do a lawyer conversation. Oh man. I mean, isn't he going to have to show damages? And what's he going to do? That show damage, show that his Comicsgate brand, trademark rather, was damaged by Ethan Van Sciver portraying it in such a way that it was causing his books not to sell?
It doesn't have to show damage, it just has to show illicit use. Like in the 80s, um, when The Simpsons came out, there were a lot of people making bootleg shirts.
Okay.
That's people profiting off of intellectual property that isn't there. And since Ethan runs his YouTube channel, he's making ad revenue and super chats based off of the word Comicsgate. And he can show that Ethan is making profit off of something that he owns.
I would reference back to that geography has something to do with it if you're not in the same town. Like reference back to the point that just some guy was making, and again, he's done research that I haven't done. So geography
Doesn't matter. It's confusingly similar. And almost every state in the union has that law. You can't go form a company called Nabasco that has a triangular logo and then not be sued by Nabisco. It's confusingly similar. So
then how is the information that just some guy see you really need to make a counter video then, because or you should think about it, because the video the way he's arguing is in direct opposition to what you're saying.
yeah, but he's not a lawyer either.
Well, none of us are.
No, but I mean he's most likely just expressing his opinion. And as a layman, if you haven't talked to a lawyer about this, then that would make sense. But if you talk to your lawyer, an entertainment lawyer especially, they will explain that trademark has a lot of power in court, because businesses make their living off of their IPs. Same reason you can't make a Batman comic book just because DC is based in California. It doesn't mean that I can go to Maryland and make a Batman comic book. It doesn't work that way.
And how presumptuous of you, Polly, saying that I'm not a lawyer. You don't know me.
Well, that's true. I don't know that you haven't been through law school. I'm not going off of anything other than the claims that he made looking into it with the quotes from it, because like I said, I haven't done the research. So when he's pulling up the legal precedents that are relevant and the copyright law that's relevant in terms of the decisions that are made, I am determining it off of that alone. Like I said, I don't really see why he would go through the trouble to pay the money to fuck with this guy. I mean, it's a lot cheaper to trademark something than it is to pay a lawyer $300 to $500 in court.
Well, I also thought that trademarks were extremely specific too. Like if Ethan wanted to make a comic book imprint called Comicsgate, he couldn't because that that's been trademarked. But the trademark doesn't extend to, say, his YouTube channel.
It does for licensing. See, he also trademarked it for a license, which is a different thing because if you want to make a Tarzan movie, you can't do that because the name Tarzan is trademarked, and you have to license it from the Edgar Rice Burroughs family. So even though the character was originally in print, the trademark carries over to other media facets too. So if you don't license it from the original owners, they're going to sue the shit out of you.
Right.
And those guys are real lawsuit happy. Even though the character of Tarzan is in public domain, you can't call it Tarzan because the name is trademarked.
Okay.
It's very, very complicated law. And I had to pay thousands of dollars to a guy to explain it to me over several hours and do research on it. But it's complicated enough that some of what just some guys said is probably true, but he's probably looking at a very narrow scope of it from a particular perspective. And
no, there's no doubt he has a particular perspective on it. He's not a fan of the whole drama in around Comicsgate. So I have no doubt that he has his own slant on it, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's going to be a very convoluted mess. And yeah, he probably did it just to stick a finger in the eye of War Campaign and Ethan, who've been name calling him and harassing him for over a year now. So he saw the opportunity.
Right. No, I just feel like it's. I'm not surprised that somebody wanted to. I'm not surprised that it's going on. It's like we were talking about before we went live. There's so much anger between camps for these guys to support the various people and the desire to own somebody online. I mean, Preston wants to do nothing but like, I don't think he wants to own it to promote a given ideal. Like, it's not like it's a set of characters or a character they developed or a universe they developed. It's really like owning the name to own someone. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Owning the name literally to own someone figuratively, you know?
I
And
don't know what his real motivations are, but he's a pretty good marketer. So if he saw a way to make money doing this, it's probably a big reason for it. And the fact that he gets to stick it to War Campaign and Ethan is probably the icing on the cake.
really, you think it's just icing on the cake? You don't think that there was a much
Like,
a much more prime motivating? I'm not saying it's the only motivating factor. You just see it as a nice little bonus at the end.
I would say it's a 50-50.
I mean, I can't read the man's mind, so you might be right that
No,
like
but
I'm interpreting wrongly his motives because I can't read his mind. But
no, from his video, it looks like it's a 50-50 split. Like it's an opportunity for him to make money using that as a imprint,
Mhm.
and he also gets to stick it to his enemies. So he wins on two fronts.
You know, hold on. What were you saying before we went live? Because this is part of the story that I didn't know. The name Comicscape was trademarked and then it went up. What was that thing?
Yeah, there's a guy named Critias. That's his online name. I don't remember his real name. It's in that article. He trademarked it first as two separate words, but the trademark office routinely checks to see if you're using a trademark, so you're not just squatting on it.
Mhm.
And he wasn't using it. He had it for well over a year and a half, I think, but never used it on anything. So they revoked it and said, "You're not doing anything with this, so it's going away." So Preston went and trademarked Comicsgate as one word. So because the trademark had become available again, so to speak, it was available for him to trademark, and apparently nobody else noticed this or even knew about it, and he probably had his lawyer kind of like looking into trying to buy it anyway because he had offered the guy before, and then the lawyer probably discovered that it got taken away.
Okay. Thank you, Bearcock. For $5, trademarking names and words, commonly used phrases, is retarded. Change my mind. Okay. Commonly used phrases. That part is retarded. Common words. I don't know. The example that was used in the video I mentioned is Apple. Because that's the example used in the relevant court decision. And he goes through, I don't know, follow his argument, see if you agree with it. Apple Computers certainly has a vested interest in trademarking that name. So like I couldn't produce crap laptops like Jack was saying that have the name Apple, and it's an Apple icon but without the bite missing out of the side, so confusion in the brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you can produce peripheral products that are related to computers and call your company Apple so long as you're not blah 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 blah. So it's how about we agree on this? Yes, you might be able to get away with it and you might not. It depends on the judge that it lands in front of, and then the subsequent filings that you make if you choose to appeal, and what judges that lands in front of.
Yeah, it always depends on the judge and how they interpret the law. And federal court is very, very expensive, and it's a giant pain in the ass, which is why my thing never proceeded beyond early stages, because everybody agreed it was costing too much money, and I lost tons of money on that, by the way. But yeah, it's one of those things that you don't want to get wrangled up in a court case on this if you don't have to, because you will lose easily 50 grand just to get in the door. It's a nightmare. So
Do you think Well, I don't know. That's an unanswerable question. I was just about to ask you, do you think Preston Poultry is willing to go that far? That's unanswerable. Only he knows. If he's
It's
that
two
crazy.
rich people slap fighting each other. So
well, okay, which is a very nice segue into the point that goes beyond the legality, legalisms, legal interpretation, legal opinion, whatever of it. It's not going to stop anybody talking about Comicsgate, and it's not going to stop the perceived alt-writers who don't like people of color and trans folks writing comics, because it's the things that were a consumer revolt, as Quiz said, are not going to disappear because somebody owns a name Comicsgate. I mean, I always thought the name Comicsgate was kind of cringy in and of itself, even though before it had become as twisted as it is now, with guys fighting amongst each other. What's his name? Shit, I forgot his name. The creator of Earthworm Jim.
Oh, Doug TenNapel.
Doug TenNapel, thank you. Like, he's in it, he's out of it, he's having arguments with other guys, and it's like, this is not a difference on principles. It seems like it's just an argument between dudes. And that's what the whole thing is turned into, just an argument amongst guys. Yeah. And like you said, it's two rich dudes having a slap fight, and that's what I see here. I don't see an argument over what should or shouldn't be happening in comics. I see an argument between guys.
Yeah, some of it might be philosophical differences, but it really just comes down to personality conflicts. And that's what Comicsgate has devolved into. It's a bunch of people that are entrenched in their tribes slap fighting each other. And that's all it's known for now. It's trademarking the name probably isn't going to change the perception of it.
Hey, look at this.
I guess the reason why there's so many people that have, turned away from calling themselves Comicsgate.
It's Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
It's totally not. Last week in Comicsgate, #blame war campaign. Yeah, you're not just attempting to poke people in the eye with a sharp stick at all, are you?
The war campaign uses the #blame war campaign.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been a meme for like 8 months now.
Oh, fuck. Man, am I ever out of fucking touch. What? And what's the reasoning behind using that hashtag themselves? Like, go ahead, blame. Like, what's the rationale there?
It's their deflection against accusations of doxing and harassment is, oh yeah, just blame war campaign.
Oh, okay.
It's a dismissive hashtag. And most war campaigners use it. So
the idea is like, yeah, right, we're responsible for everything that goes wrong in the world. That kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gamer Vleen, Momoa! Don't ruin my breakfast drink. Your breakfast drink is alcoholic? Wow.
Hey, man.
I've gotten so used to calling him Jason Momoa that I've totally lost track that that's not his actual name. All right.
I used to yell at you and, correct you on it and stuff like that, but nah. I've given up.
Yeah, I broke him. All right.
Jason Momoa. You broke Jason Momoa.
You seen Jason Momoa? If anything, you could break me in half. I'm fucking like...
He cries at night going, why does he throw bottles in my yard?
Yeah, he's got it coming. Well, you know what you did, Mimosa. All right. I do not have my comic up, and it's pitch time. Moving on from me. Okay. Snapping at Jack baselessly. We're going to pitch comics, because that's actual fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go if you want.
Okay, hold on. I'm just dragging you guys over here so you can screen share. And making my life easier when it comes to editing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and here we go with the pitches. Quiz, you are up.
All right. My pitch is written by Alan Grant, penciled by Brian Apthorpe, inked by Stan Walk, and colored by Linda Medley. My pitch is. Sorry, I have to do all this. My pitch is Year One Batman Shadow of the Bat.
Okay.
This is essentially the first iteration of Poison Ivy as we currently know Poison Ivy, because she used to be back in like the 60s when she was first introduced, and on places like Adam West's TV show. She was very much more of a criminal, like your typical Bwahaha, I've beaten you, Dark Knight, and I'm going to steal all of the money in Gotham Central Bank's vault, haha, sort of thing. This is when she actually becomes an eco-terrorist, and you can see it right here. She's got the whole preening, I stole all these jewels from the latest heist, into a more eco-centric, I can control plants with my will character. And I think that she was better served after this issue. I think it's a major step in the development of Poison Ivy as a character. And I think it came off really well. And I like the direction it took to get her to the point where we know her now. And yeah, that's my pitch.
Very nice. All right, Jack, are you ready to go?
Yep.
All right, shoot whenever you want.
Mine is a Stan Lee Jack
Oh,
Kirby
fuck,
issue.
shit. I'm sorry, I wasn't presenting. Fuck. I'm sorry, Jack. If you're ready to go, please feel free. Fuck.
Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's Thor issue 142, where Thor faces off against the Super Skrull. Now, talk about weird crossovers. Super Skrull's a Fantastic Four villain, so you don't really expect him to fight Thor. But Loki tricks the Super Skrull into attacking Thor to get rid of him, because Loki is trapped on a planet by himself thanks to angering Odin previously. And it's mostly just a knockdown, drag-out issue. And it's cool seeing Thor take out the Super Skrull with all the powers of the Fantastic Four on his own. And there's this neat little backup story about a battle by Asgardians versus some other guys. And that one's pretty cool. But the art is very Kirby-esque, as you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it looks a little rushed at times, but I blame the inker, who was Vince Coletta. He's a notoriously shitty inker. So if you like Kirby work, this is great, but it's a fun action adventure. Where's the neck? But it was just cool to see some of these battle sequences. The colors really pop. It's been remastered. And if you want to read this story, you can find it in a True Believers reprint. For only $1.
Oh, wow.
So it's a full story. There is an ongoing background story that carries over into other issues, but if you just want a quick action adventure, this is it. It's a good knockdown drag out between the Super Skrull and Thor. That's my pitch.
Nice.
That sounds pretty good.
And I don't normally like Thor either.
Super Skrull.
He's the only...
Man, that brings me back. Super Skrull, the guy with the Fantastic Four powers? Well, not originally, but kind of, yeah.
He's the only Avenger that I've ever actually cared about.
Oh, yeah.
But
Thor.
Really?
Yeah, I never really liked the Avengers, ever.
Captain America, fucking Iron Man.
Nope.
Black Knight.
Black Knight, yeah.
I haven't given a shit about any of them.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man wasn't an Avenger.
For a minute he was, yeah, actually.
He's a reserve member.
Go figure. It stay away from West Coast Avengers, especially the reiteration. Remember that?
Yeah.
Where they put like America Chavez and the shitty pink-haired villain with the pink constructs. So they put like all their rotten eggs in one basket. It was...
Yep.
My pitch is actually not a particular comic, but an entire series, The Amazing Mary Jane. I know, right? Weird. But it's actually really entertaining. It's a fun read. DC should take note when they tried to do the standalone Lois Lane series, and then they just made it like one big anti-Trump screed. This is what a fun comic. The whole thing. I would honestly recommend any one of them. It's her as the obviously the wife of supervillain or superhero. Dealing with the things that she has to deal with and them constantly coming after her because they become aware and she ends up fighting it out with them. She's a non-superhero who ends up fighting supervillains all the time. Spider-Man is obviously in it a lot, but The Amazing Mary Jane is a fun series focusing on an outside character. Remember comic books, like really old ones? Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen.
Oh yeah.
Right? And it's like, and they were kind of bad. They're fun dated reads, but they're not actually a good read on their own because what are you going to do with Jimmy Olsen, right?
Well,
They've managed to find a lot to do with, and of course, Spider-Man makes an appearance. Mary Jane doesn't play the damsel in distress. They draw her sexy. They make her the fun-loving, vivacious woman that she is as a model and involved in production and stuff like that. And this sort of realism of Spider-Man's life of being a married guy because it ends up focusing on her more than him. I'm having a fun read with it. I didn't think that I would, and I was surprised to see your boy Zach, Richard Meyer over on Comics Matter say that he loves this. I'm like, okay, whew, it's not just me. I was because I was a little worried that I was being crazy by enjoying this series, but no, man, it's actually a fuck ton of fun. So yeah, The Amazing Mary Jane, the whole series, read it. It's great.
All I gotta say about you decrying the masterpiece of the Jimmy Olsen comic. You remember that time where Jimmy Olsen married a gorilla?
I most certainly do not remember that. Is that a thing?
Superman, this joke has gone far enough. I don't want to marry a female King Kong. Sorry, Jimmy, but as the local witch doctor, I now pronounce you man and wife.
Hold on, wait. Are you're presenting it? Give me a sec. Oh, I gotta show this.
Yeah, back then you could kind of do anything because continuity was very, very flexible.
For fuck's sake, look at that. The Bride of Jungle Jimmy.
See, that's a play on words too, because there was a character called Jungle Jim, who was a Tarzan knockoff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a joke about a joke character.
Gil, speaking of flexible comics, Jack, Gil Cotto says, Polly, the Lois Lane comics are great. I mean, remember when she changed ethnicity temporarily and discovered that racism was over? Like back in the 70s?
Yeah, that actually happened.
Yeah, when
she was a sassy black woman with bell bottoms and an afro.
Like,
yes, she was.
Did she go undercover as that? Or
no? She got transformed into a black woman.
It was just sort of a random thing. They did it for like 2 issues. It was a 2-issue story. It was really dumb. The Punisher did that too in the 80s. The Punisher got injected with this thing that made his skin black.
I do remember that. Yeah,
it was so hackneyed.
He started his war on crack that way, which says a lot in and of itself.
Yeah. Now that would be really racist.
Yeah, and Farr sums up all of this stuff with simply, what the fuck? Yeah. Okay, hold on. I've got to look up some old Jimmy Olsen shit. I need some good laughs. There's not enough comedy in comics, and those will be good. And this Lois Lane thing, I'm definitely looking into that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one was a little bit more serious than the Jimmy Olsen one.
Yeah, obviously.
And I'm going to reread. It was only 2 issues of Punisher where he's black, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think I've got scans of those. I mean, issues of those. I'm going to go look at them. So there it is, everybody. Yeah, Ryan Walters, Robert Downey Jr. is the Punisher, right? Black Frank Castle. Yeah, so there it is. Episode 83, I think, of Comic Book Curation. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you to Evolved Potato for posting our links. That is always really appreciated. Thank you very much to everybody who donated. And thank you to Quiz and Jack for being here every week, because you guys are awesome. It's always a fun conversation. Well, mostly until I make it awkward. But then, it becomes fun again. So, any final thoughts, gentlemen?
Read some comics.
Yeah.
And
go through those.
For God's sake, read more comics and donate to us. You're sitting at home. It's not like you're working. Are you so bad at managing your money? That's the part
give
that
that-
really galls me. What you mean to say is you're so bad at managing your money that you
Oh.
That you forgot your
let me-
foddery.
let me just bring something up real quick. We glossed over it. I was trying to get it in there when we were talking about Jamie Markey, but you're sitting there talking about Jamie Markey had $12 an hour for her job,
according to
and
that
how
old
it's-
contract, but that was several
Yeah.
years prior. Yeah.
I'm just saying that same Twitch thought, the one that we keep on harping about, right? She has a little screed later on in that same fucking video where she's talking about how she's a professional voice actor, and like people are sitting there saying like, "Oh, can I get you to voice act something for me?" She goes, "Oh, you couldn't afford me. You couldn't afford the hundreds of dollars an hour that I get for voice. Bitch, you don't get fucking 10 cents an hour voice acting. You cannot pay me to believe that you make that much money voice acting. Jamie Markey doesn't do it, and she's actually employed.
Right.
Get fucked, Twitch thought.
Ugh. So unlike Twitch thoughts, we genuinely appreciate when anybody donates, watches, likes, and subscribes. I mean,
Yes.
fuck. God damn it, lady. Your audience isn't guaranteed and shit. Anyway. All right. Thank you for everyone for coming. Thank you everybody for donating. And we'll see you again soon. If you liked it, yeah, you can like, share, and subscribe. If you want to, we'd appreciate it. Fucking Twitch
Yes.
thoughts. See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.